去吗？
回不去了，这边空中还被推了一下，不过1换1，1换2，1换3，那这样子的话 A 点应该是过了。
버텨냈고요. 근데 그 와중에 킬 하나.
체력 35.
이거 너무 급했어요. 합이 안 맞아서 아키텍트가 뒤로 질 풍참을 쓰는.
上海直接拉板正面 Architect 直接把刀收掉一个 Marvel， 而且前面的米少也阵亡了。
是的，
哦呦，
再一刀
Architect
triple kill.
트로피 잡혔고요.
네, 오픈피.
트로피.
와,
기차까지.
머리 위에 얹어서 모자 씌워주는 것처럼.
네.
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Achilles and Wolf jumping on for the rest of the evening to guide you through the games. And coming up next, Wolf, we have a pretty interesting one. This is going to be the Hangzhou Spark going up against the Seoul Dynasty. These teams going to be fighting for the opportunity to square off against the Chengdu Hunters in the semifinal tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup. Whoever wins it, Chengdu is on fire right now. They've really mastered this meta. They've suddenly come out of nowhere, and they've just started to dominate right now here in the Asia region. So it's an uphill battle. You got to win this match, then you got to go up against Chengdu to then, you know, have your shot at going to that grand finals. It's really been so far, you know, one-sided. We've only had one match, but Chengdu looks strong. Yeah. I think this is probably one of our closer matchups that we have, because, you know, Seoul has been so inconsistent. Hangzhou, I think at their highest peaks are like a little bit lower than Seoul's highest peaks, but you never know which Seoul is going to show up tonight.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at which Seoul we are going to be having, at least for map number 1 with their starting 6. Not going to be seeing Prophet in the tank role, you know, so it looks like they're going to be straying away from Zarya, or we will be having Marvel play that pick, but he will be DPSing alongside Fitz.
Yeah, Tuyu, they recently signed from their Gen G roster as a two-way player. He's also not going to be starting. He's a Zarya specialist, so the fact that, you know, Prophet's not in the role, because Prophet was playing the Zarya when he was off-tanking, and the fact that Tuyu's not here means we're probably going to see more of that Wrecking Ball Winston style for control. I think there's a good chance that we will see Tuyu slotted in later on in the series if they want to run that Winston Zarya style that's so popular right now. But for the time being, it is just going to be that Gesture Marvel tank line. So no Tuyu yet, but I am looking forward to hopefully seeing him later on in this series.
Yeah, and then everything else, you know, kind of what you would expect. We do have Toby slotting in over Slime, who has been starting more recently for them. But Toby back in the mix here alongside Badoshin to round out that support lineup. So not too many surprises here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Taking a look, though, at the Hangzhou Spark, we'll go ahead and see what they've got for us. And, I mean, this is a team that hasn't really been interchanging too many pieces. I don't think that this lineup is too shocking for anyone to see.
Yeah, the Mika, you know, starting lineup here, or with Mika on the starting lineup here, I think is the really standout substitution. But Mika's been starting more and more as of late. And Mika is someone that's really great at Mercy in particular, but also has been playing a lot of other support roles. You know, has played a little bit of Batiste, has played Lucio, has also played Moira. Yeah. So I mean, I think Mika's a good starting player for Control because you have this kind of catch-all play style, and I think that's a smart move for map number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you know, having Gods being Architect in here, obviously that's going to be pretty tough. Prophet and Fitz in their own right are still a very strong duo. Prophet has, you know, been finding his stride a little bit more as of late, especially when he's able to bring out that Genji. He still looks very strong on it, but I mean, the last time that we saw the Hangzhou Spark, I believe it was versus London, or at least that's the one that I have in my mind, and Architect just took over the game. Guy was absolutely unstoppable. So there's a really tall order right now for the Seoul Dynasty to try and contain him.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, and this is a meta where it's all about the DPSs, I think, in big team fights and in ultimate fights. In the neutral game, it's definitely about the tank line. The Winston Zarya in particular, I mean, that's a really tough matchup. If you start to lose it, your whole team comp can fall apart like dominoes. But in the big ultimate fights, right, that's when your DPSs are going to have to shine. Saw a little bit of Doomfist out of Chengdu earlier. You know, they like to play a little bit of everything. Yeah. I think this one's going to be a little bit more standard. I think we'll see some Sombra, some Tracer, and some Genji on Control.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of variation, especially when you also take a look at, you know, North America. I was able to watch the first series that had happened, I guess, yesterday for most people now. And, you know, we got Junkrat Symmetra coming out on Lijiang Tower and whatnot. So people are definitely experimenting a bit more right now that there is no hero pool limitations. But here we go. Busan is our first map for this second series of the evening. Like I said before, winner of this will go up against the Chengdu Hunters tomorrow in a semi-final. So, you know, tough series right now. Both of these teams have been rather inconsistent. So we have to see who's going to come out on top, and then you have to take down, you know, the team that has been on top of the standings so far for this Countdown Cup.
Yeah. Well, to start things off compositionally, looks like we are going to see double shield across the board here to start, and Fitz is starting Widowmaker. This is definitely the best map, the best, you know, of the 3 map types you have on Busan for long-range hit scan. Definitely expected to see at least McCree out of him for the anti-dive, the anti-tracer, but Widow to start. We'll see if he does swap after the first team fight, but he's going to stick with it here. Profit on the tracer.
And we will just end up with mirrored compositions coming through. Godsby versus Fitz. It could be a close duel for these Widowmakers. Both are excellent in their own rights. And when they get into the groove of things, Architect making his way around the back so far has not been spotted. He's going to be looking for Fitz, who apparently doesn't have peripheral vision or just didn't quite see him. Almost gets one clipped. Does manage to survive, though, as Architect will have to exit, gets topped back up, and now is looking for this flank angle against Gesture, who desperately needs some healing, but will not receive it in time. Gets taken down as the point is getting ready to get locked in for the Hangzhou Spark. Mortality Field's going to be finished off. Architect pushing up onto the Widowmaker yet again, dashes away from the poison trap, tries to duke it out, does get forced to recall, but will manage to find the kill in the end. Hangzhou Spark very widely come out on top of the fight. The Seoul Dynasty cheekily do manage to get the cap on the point, but it's only going to be for a few percent.
Yeah, Architect really pressuring Fitz off of the point. Even though he had some great opening damage, Fitz did. He wasn't able to do that consistent follow-up. And, you know, Architect, he failed to get that first kill, but was able to continually push Fitz off the point, and then, you know, line of sight advantage to Godsby. He didn't do that much damage, but the threat was there, and Seoul Dynasty kind of had to fall back and let the point go. Fast flip here, huge change here for the Hangzhou Spark.
Yeah, really good start. Fitz already just having to grapple very shortly around the corner to keep himself safe. He's looking for somebody, but hasn't been able to really spot anyone yet. Hangzhou Spark really playing well around the sidelines, already have the barriers up to go ahead and deny the shots coming through. Pulse Bomb comes in, Immortality Field will absorb that. As we do have an Ant Matrix out from Badosians, looking for some kills, they finally start finding some. Architect, however, finds that backline assassination onto Fitz, finishing him off, but it's at the cost of 2 members so far on the side of the Hangzhou Spark, who are looking to keep this fight rolling. The rally comes in, Flux going to come out now from Marvel in answer. Gets the stun in onto QOQ, who falls dangerously low. Pops the Flux, but it's just not enough HP. Gets taken down by Toby, just swinging away. Stun in onto Prophet, but is allowed to survive for the time being. Pulse Bomb, another one ready to go, finds the stick, drops it in again. Immortality Field perfectly placed there from Badosian in response. Godsby, however, finds a headshot, taking down Prophet, getting rid of that pesky tracer on the enemy team as Architect being just that. Tries to go on the hunt for Fitz, but the poison trap will dissuade him at least for a little bit longer. Fitz finds the better of Godsby, but the point still has not flipped here for the Seoul Dynasty. A very back and forth fight that just have not been able to come out on top yet. Another Ant Matrix here from Badosian on the point. Manages to find another pick-off, but they still need to flip this back into their favor. Hangzhou Spark with Guushui on that wrecking ball, trying to extend things, but they cannot force it above 90%.
Yeah.
The flip finally comes in at 87.
I mean, it was a really nice delay from Hangzhou Spark. They bought a ton of time, and I think a lot of this is actually on Marvel not able to secure those kills. I mean, he's the one that can really be the heavy hitter when you're eliminating those final stalling tanks on the point. Just not able to do that consistent damage to finish them off, so Hangzhou just rolls around, runs up to 90% nearly here. All they have to do is win one more team fight.
Yeah. Well, I get the force to switch here from Guushui off the wrecking ball back onto the Orisa, so that's really good as Gesture already does have that supercharger ready to go. So one ult up right there. Godsby just avoiding getting halted in headshot. Architect trying to make his way around the back. The Prophet does manage to find him. QOQ going to be taken down as an Ant Matrix comes out from Bebe off screen. Guushui trying to play up on the point, just cannot survive. Too much damage being pushed out onto him. The Immortality Field will get finished off, and the Seoul Dynasty will manage to maintain control of this point.
Yeah, this is
still a ways to go to try to close this out, but looking good right now.
Yeah, this is the point that was going to, or the fight that was going to be the toughest one, I think, for Seoul Dynasty. Now they've got a lot of ultimates coming online here. They have got their own Flux. They're going to have another window available and a rally here to survive through the onslaught of the Hangzhou Spark. This one should arguably be an easier fight to win, and this is going to be the fight that decides this first round. Hangzhou Spark would love to have an opening pick with a Pulse Bomb, with a flanking Widowmaker here, as you can see Godsby is looking for. He's hoping that shield's drop, but it's not. Toby
can see him. He's poking around the corner. He sees him sitting in that doorway. So, playing smartly. Pulse Bomb comes out from Architect, but again, Immortality Field going to be there, but Ocean keeps himself safe as Architect still just waits in the back, dives in, but can't get that one clip again. Sees how weak Badoshan is, leaps through the window, tries to finish him off, fakes it around the corner, will be allowed to survive for a little bit longer, but Marvel can't say the same about him. QOQ does take him down. Kinetic Grasp coming through, trying to absorb as much damage as he possibly can. Gets the lock in, the accretion will finish off Gesture. Now he just pushes up into the face of the supports and helps finish them off. 99% there for the Seoul Dynasty, but Hangzhou Spark looking for the flip and seeming like they're going to be able to get it. And it's still very close right now. If they get this flip here, they might just be able to close it out as they will restart at the 87%.
Yeah.
Profit, however, tries to drag this back into their favor. Does get rid of Architect after losing out on the Fitz, but the flip is there. Seoul Dynasty now need to stabilize and get back onto this point.
This is Seoul's last chance. They need to tag with the Wrecking Ball and look for a kill from Profit. He's got that Pulse Bomb. It's all up to him right now. Overtime is reached here. Pulse doesn't get a kill.
So far, it's just going to be the Supercharger taken down yet. Doesn't manage to find a kill. Doesn't really weaken anybody either. Gonsby gets the shot in onto Badoshan. Is looking for another target. Shield gets raised by Toby at the perfect time, but Gesture going to be taken down. Pile Driver in. Gonsby falling low. The heals start flowing, and the Widowmaker will not fall. Marvel gets taken out, and that will be the close for the Hangzhou Spark here on Sanctuary. Dangerously close, though, 199% for the first round.
I think QOQ just completely outplayed Marvel throughout that entire first round. It was a long round. It was a pretty grueling one. But, you know, Marvel just wasn't able to find the same amount of consistent damage with his left clicks as QOQ was on the Sigma. QOQ had more efficient ultimates and just generally was setting up a lot more play for Architect and Gonsby, whereas Gesture played very passively, wasn't able to have the same impact. Came in on the, or rather Marvel, I should say. Marvel comes in on the Wrecking Ball there at the end, ties to Widowmaker, for example, in a 1v1 he shouldn't lose. Yeah. And, you know, this is where I think even the Seoul management's clear on the same page as me as they signed to you recently. Is Marvel very inconsistent as of late, despite being one of the better Sigmas at the beginning of Sigma's introduction to the game. We're going to have Rhines here, but Godsby on the McCree, so more ranged composition here for Hangzhou Spark. They can play around this high ground and try to chip away at Seoul.
Yeah, so we're back on an old classic, the May Reaper in the double shield meta. So it has been tried and true, but always a bit of a scary moment there. Fitz now trying to exit, but just cannot close the distance fast enough, even with that Wraith walk up. Godsby will get forced off the high ground, but it doesn't really matter because Seoul Dynasty are just systematically getting broken down by the Hangzhou Spark. That will be the extended ace coming through as they cap the point.
This is kind of lose-lose for Fitz in that moment on the Reaper, because if he runs the other way, then he's just irrelevant. If he gets away with, you know, wraithing through the team and getting onto the other side, then that's where he wants to be. But obviously, he was just going to get flashbanged as soon as that ran out. So kind of a lose-lose situation. He took a risk, didn't pay off. He swapped now over to the McCree. So matching compositions here. They're not too far behind in ult charge. If they win this fight, they can certainly turn things around.
Look at that segment the team with that May wall. Doesn't quite work out. Gushui luckily doesn't drop the hammer. Thought maybe he was going to lose it there in mid-ult, but front line does get broken down. The fire strike through to Mika means that a fairly fast flip is going to be coming in now for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. The delay tactic's just not really going to be there with Bebe falling.
Yeah. It did look like
flip will come in.
It did look like he was going to hammer there, didn't it, for a second? But he didn't.
I really thought that he was going to lose the ult.
I actually thought he was about to do it too. I was like, is he in mid-animation? Then I looked up just to be sure. It's kind of a weird situation, but they have a lot of ults, but unfortunately they're not good ults for attacking the point. They're going to have to find a different way. They're going to avoid that choke where Seoul Dynasty is grouped up, or at least fake it here, it looks like. And yeah, try to go through the center. Then they can use their ults.
They try to push out maybe with the Coalescence. There it is, to help them get their way over onto the point. The Blizzard now going to be coming through, but already Godsby going to be taken out of the fight. Shatter drops in, manages to find 3. Immortality Field is standing at the moment, but this doesn't really matter. They just get killed off through that one. Trying to trade it back, though. Fitz is still alive. Right click, taking him low here from Bebe. He tries to siphon the life out of him. Toby receiving the same treatment will get finished off by Architect. See Hangzhou Spark trying to get this flip back in. Marvel rejoins the fight. Badoshan is here dangerously low, but the ship comes off cooldown to keep himself alive. And Seoul Dynasty do manage to go ahead and hold on to this one. Baby's going to be taken down in the end. So yeah, really great stall tactics here. Great survivability from the Seoul Dynasty. Allows them to take the lead on Mecha Base.
Basically, Toby's boop made it sure that Hangzhou Spark couldn't take the follow-up damage for the Blizzard as well as they wanted to. They survived, split, and then were able to retake the point without ultimates. So they have a huge ult advantage right now as well.
Oh, that is dangerous and close, and Badoshan is not behind a shield any longer. Does get taken down by that Deadeye, but answering Deadeye comes through, fits him back. Sound barrier will be met from both teams. Toby managed to find one. Gesture going to fall. A 2-for-2 exchange thus far with Seoul Dynasty still holding the point. QQ, however, full HP, looking to shove people back. The ice block expires from Prophet. He's got nowhere to go, so he does get taken down. And now Marvel left out to dry. It seems like Spark will be able to pick this up. QQ, man. The accuracy being showed off right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is
phenomenal accretion.
This is what I'm talking about with QOQ. He's actually insane, and he's outperforming Marvel when it is the Sigma versus Sigma. Now it's obviously a different matchup. The different double shields are coming through for Dynasty, but they have these chokes controlled too. Hangzhou drained a lot of Seoul's ultimates in that last fight. I mean, basically eliminated their ability to re-engage with ult. So this is a neutral fight they're going to take, ultless, I should say, fight they're going to take to try to close this one out 2-0.
They're very close here for this whole Dynasty. That Blizzard getting ready to come online. The Shatter's going to be there. Blizzard up now for Architect. We'll see who pulls the trigger first. They'll be just at the same time, actually. Pushing comes through. Marvel falling low. Immortality Field blocked off. Great wall there from Architect. They managed to find the kill, but it will just be a trade out on the Reinhardts thus far. QOQ goes in with the Flux, drops him down, doesn't get stunned out of it, and they manage to find some kills. Now pushing past 90%, Seoul Dynasty have to disengage. Try to come back in here one last time, but the supports are getting taken down. Toby would have been one of their prime suspects to try and extend this fight. Shatter comes in, manages to catch two, but the follow-up is just not going to be there yet. Prophet comes back through with the Tracer. High ground is Fitz with the Deadeye. Does manage to find Mika. A fighting chance suddenly for the Seoul Dynasty to try to close this one out. Marvel's going to be swapping over onto the Diva to try to rejoin in faster. Gesture going to be finished off by Airstrike. Manages to find Prophet. Shatter going to be dropped in, catches both supports for the Seoul Dynasty, but the collapse isn't there from the rest of the Spark. The flip comes in, Seoul Dynasty back in control, still down a few members, but can they rally? Can they close this out and take us to a third round?
This is a god. Godsby's going to try to delay here so they can get the rest of the team on, but Gushue just swapped to Winston. It's going to be so difficult for Hangzhou to win this fight.
They force the OT, everybody trying to in forward here onto Bebe, but they can't quite finish them off, and Mika will be allowed to escape for a little bit longer. Right click's coming down, keeping QOQ as topped up as they possibly can. Marvel likely losing out on the mech here, sliver of HP remaining for him. They actually do keep him in for a little bit longer. Chasing in, Godsby tries to get rid of Gesture, but he pops the shield, manages to stay safe, and Fitz is going to be taken down. The sound barrier shield not going to be there in time to try to keep them free in the fight. A massive loss of damage now for the side of the Seoul Dynasty, but they manage to fight back. The healing going to be cut in half as Bebe is eliminated. Pulse Bomb out, not going to be able to find anything. Now Godsby has one of his own. Marvel going to be eliminated. The Pulse Bomb goes down onto the ground, doesn't manage to find anything, but Architect drawing out the Dragon Blade is looking for a target. Manages to find one, forces the recall, but they move off the point for long enough for Seoul to close this out.
Seoul could be
Another
so
199% round. A third round coming up. Downtown will decide this.
Seoul could be so thankful that they stepped off the point at that moment. This was definitely not going to be a one fight for Seoul Dynasty the longer it went on. So Seoul is gifted this third round here. This looks like completely unrelated replay, but
the catch on a bit.
Yeah, there you go. That's right when the shield jumps down. Very nicely played by Godspeed. But I feel like the DPS lineup of Seoul is winning a lot of these scrappy fights that Seoul shouldn't have gotten into in the first place. They should have been ahead. They should have been able to take these fights on even footing. But Prophet and Fitz are saving them in these crazy moments. Prophet's tagging the point. Fitz is setting up great Deadeye. He's getting long-range kills. But in these neutral fights and in the standard tank battles that we're seeing, that's where Seoul is struggling. And now I like Hangzhou's composition more. It's great for downtown. The Winston, Zarya, they don't have 2U and they don't have Prophet on the flex tank here, so they're kind of stuck with this Winston dive Wrecking Ball comp with Genji, and I don't know if it's going to be as consistent as what Hangzhou's running here. Hangzhou's comp is so much safer right now.
Let's see what Prophet can get done on the Genji so far. Just poking out as Architect falls low, but does get kept up by that Bionade. Point's going to be unlocked. Hangzhou Spark start making their way over. Nice coach gun shot. We'll push back Gushue for the time being. The Dynamite catching on the 2, looking for that final hit to finish off Godsby. Prophet will just go ahead and dash through both the DPS to finish them off.
And it's a decent...
Good collapse coming in, and Seoul Dynasty have the point first.
Yeah, it's a decent start here for Hangzhou.
The Nano, okay. Nano boost is on QOQ.
Yeah, this is
trying to keep this fight going. Well, headshot taps coming in. They'll break down the bubble, looking for the finish here, and they manage to find it. The headshot comes in. Gesture does fall. The bomb going to be tossed out onto the opposing ramp, and Toby manages to get enough space to go in for the res safely. Prophet now going to be eliminated, but this is still Seoul Dynasty. Very much looking like a fight that is theirs. Hangzhou Spark are starting to pull back. The Bionade clips onto 2, and they just maintain control of this point. So, actually, I think a bit of an overcommitment there with the nano boost from the Hangzhou Spark to try to get a flip when they didn't really need it.
I think they could have won that fight if things went a little bit differently. Really nice plays from Fitz, keeping himself alive twice when the dive came through. I think the other win condition for this follow-up fight, too, would have been if Godsby has EMP now, then you feel like, okay, well, at least they win this fight no matter what, but he doesn't have it yet, so it's going to take further time. So Soul's, looking at the upwards 70-80% if they lose this point. So, yeah, it definitely doesn't end up working out in the end.
Oh, my God, the random spy check. Ocean almost gets the sleep. That follow-up on the Godsby would have been absolutely massive from him. Doesn't quite go that way, though, because the minefield will get dropped down onto the point. Prophet draws out the Dragon Blade. Sleep Dart, however, will clip into him, but he should be safe. It's a zoning ult. He's got both supports running away from the point.
Godsby
so,
still doesn't have
Seoul
EMP.
Dynasty, they maintain control.
He still doesn't have EMP. He needs it. He needs to have that. Like, he needs to have had that yesterday. It's so late. They had these scrappy fights that didn't allow him to farm Charge. He didn't get any kills. And, I mean, sure, they should win this fight, but Soul's easily going to get 99. They can just hold ults here. And if they win the fight, they just win the map. So it's kind of win-win here if you're Seoul Dynasty. I think you save ults, let them EMP, and then just come back to take it away.
Fitz just firing away, another Bob ready to go. 95% now on the point. EMP comes in, manages to find 4, and Toby just falls over, but Ocean as well will get collapsed on. Fitz manages to find 1, but that's about as good as it's getting so far. And the bomb, likely you're not going to last too long. The bubble comes down to help mitigate the damage coming through, and Guangzhou just holds on to the Primal Rage. Wants to save that for a defending fight. They try to push the Bob over towards the train tracks.
Probably
Flip does come in.
Probably could have saved that Bob, but I mean, otherwise Seoul Dynasty only had the Primal to really commit into that fight. That would have been like a mega commitment. Everything else is
He's swapping, so he's on Sombra now.
Yeah, I mean, this makes sense that he's going to swap. He might have swapped because of the Bob failure, but either way, I mean, it's not the end of the world. They have a ton of time now, though, to just win one team fight, which is the hugest part of it.
Precisely. Yeah, and to get that EMP online. Godsby, though, making good pace. It's pretty much even with Fitz there at the start, but Fitz will find Guangzhou, and that's going to help surge him forward. Follows up, get the second kill now as Godsby will fall. The pile driver comes in from Marvel. Seoul Dynasty looking to go ahead and close this one out right now, and it seems like they're going to be able to do it. Fitz swaps over onto the Sombra, doesn't even need the EMP. Already you're feeling the impact, cleans up the members of the Hangzhou Spark, and now the OT will start bleeding away. Looking for the tag in from Guangzhou. He does have the Primal, but a nice boop off. A push back there from the whip shot will delay him touching the point and ensures that Seoul Dynasty will close out this first map.
Yeah,
dangerously close on those first 2 rounds, but Seoul looking a lot more refined in downtown.
Having a lot better team fights there on downtown in general because Hangzhou Spark kind of hurt themselves from the start with not building a lot of EMP charge. You're supposed to always be with EMP. Even if you lose the first team fight, you lose that first point, you got to delay and come back with like 80% of an EMP. They came back with about 45%. So Seoul was never really worried about the EMP fight until it was already to 99. Then they could just hold ults, go in for the Primal fight. They had a good hack selection there as well when we did see that swap coming through from Fitz. And they end up getting an opening kill and just win that fight with Primal. But you've got to be really leading the charge in terms of that EMP build early if you're going to run that. I mean, you've got to be getting like 60-65% per fight if you're going to lose the fight. If you win it, doesn't always matter as much because you're going to have so much extra wiggle room. But yeah, when you start a Sombra like that, you can't fall behind, or your composition is I don't want to say it's like 5v6 because that's not true, but your composition's main goal can't be reached without it.
Well, a very good start for the Seoul Dynasty, but still very close. So Hangzhou Spark obviously not getting, bowled over here, so they still can very much fight back. This is going to be their map pick coming up. We'll see what it's going to be when we come back from the break. So stay tuned, guys. We'll see if Hangzhou can tie this up or if Seoul Dynasty can just move up 2-0, be at match points. Stay tuned.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
All right, welcome back. We are just at the start of this series. One map down between the Seoul Dynasty and the Hangzhou Spark. Seoul, very close. Took them 3 rounds on Busan, but did manage to close it out. Now we get to look forward to Hangzhou's map pick, see where they want to take us for hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, where they want to go. I mean, I think they want to pick a map like Numbani. I would guess.
I just checked. I have the spoilers.
I just checked as well.
It's Eichenwald. So
I wanted to be right, but I'm not
right.
right. It's Eichenwald. I would say that they wanted to take us to a map like Numbani and to play that Winston Zarya style. Eichenwald, you could still play it. It's not like it's not bad. It's actually quite strong, especially on the bridge. That's not a drawbridge.
Very good.
I've been getting a lot of tweets about that still from the VODs, but
nailed it.
But yeah, I think that Eichenwald is a map that plays in their strengths. We do have a substitution for Seoul Dynasty, which is that Marvel is out, and I would assume that means Tuyu is coming in because Prophet's still in the lobby.
Either Tuyu or Michelle.
Yeah.
But we're still waiting for confirmation on that one, so it seems like it might be a little bit before we hop into the game while they go ahead and finish it out.
He just came in.
And it is okay. So we'll do the spoilers.
This makes sense.
Hopefully the graphics ready.
Yeah. This makes sense because, Tuyu comes in, he just got signed as a two-way player. He just barely slid underneath the player signing window closing, so he got in. Yeah. He's able to play in the Overwatch League now as a two-way player. Zarya specialist, which is something that Seoul I think is kind of sorely needed. Prophet's great at Zarya. That's why he was playing flex tank for a while. However, then you pull one of your strongest DPS players out of the DPS role, so there's a big trade-off there. Now you pull out Marvel, who, in my opinion, arguably is the weak link in Seoul's lineup. Put Tuyu in, Zarya specialist. He gets a chance to shine here on the big stage. The metaphorical big stage, we are, still online. But
sure.
I like this for Seoul. They won map 1 despite being down, and they won a lot of miracle scrappy fights. So they kind of stole map 1 away, I feel. And now they're coming out with a strong new players, strong compositions. Possible they could run that Rosaria Winston comp. Things are looking up for Seoul Dynasty. They really are.
They are, but if you say that to a Seoul Dynasty fan, Wolf, and they're gonna take that with a grain of salt.
As soon as I said it, I felt that. I was like, well, I'm sure it's a Seoul Dynasty fan. He's chasing us, oh no!
Yeah, they call it a roller coaster for a reason, because it's it's usually a bit of an interesting ride, a lot of ups and downs. We'll see if that's gonna be the case here today. During the May Melee, they were able to turn it on and just come out really strong throughout that and make it into that grand final. So maybe we're gonna see a similar run from them. But we have to wait and see how this second map is going to go.
Yeah, it's so far.
Spark obviously don't want to be put in a position where they have to try and reverse sweep their way into the semifinal.
So far, they want to run the double shield. There's been obviously varying ideas about double shield versus the Winston Zarya on this map in particular. Seoul Dynasty has been running mostly double shield here, and Tuyu is going to be on the Sigma to start. Hangzhou looks like they want to match this in terms of the tank lineup. We'll be running the Genji Ashe though, rather than Tracer, just for, I think, ultimate team fight potential. Looking for Dragon Blade wins to flip the point.
For now, just going to be poking out where possible. Kinetic Grasp going to be used by QOQ, gets a decent amount of shielding. Architect tries to get the kill there on the Prophet. Can't line up that dash through, though, so Prophet going to be inching out. As far as that damage is concerned, Accretion comes in, going to be interrupting the grasp. As QOQ falls down to about half HP. Heals will start coming in. So Hangzhou Spark try to approach the point. Barrier low HP. Down to about half there for QOQ. So it's going to be a bit slow moving here for them.
Yeah, they're not building a lot.
Keeps getting pushed out. Mika nearly getting eliminated there. Raise barrier blocks out the Accretion. Prophet into the back line, and Architect's going to be the first one to fall. Now, Bebe still commits in with this Amp Matrix, but he falls low. Stun comes out. Gushui tries to turn things around, manages to find 2. Pulse Bomb, however, will shut him down, getting rid of that killing spree that he was starting up. As Fitz and Prophet will just go ahead and clean up the rest of the Hangzhou Spark. A very nice first defense here for the Seoul Dynasty.
It's not a ton of Dragon Blade percentage, but I mean, he got halfway there. The Amp Matrix can be built very quickly, so can't really fault Bebe for that. It was also, I thought in my mind for a second, there's a chance he swaps to Ana just briefly to try to get a Nano Blade, because that also builds quickly, but not going to happen. He's going to stick with this Batiste. And, you know, for Seoul Dynasty right now, they're great. They've got a Flux, they've got a Rally coming online probably before the Blade, and they're going to just sit pretty on the point and just sit back and defend. Here's the Flux.
So there's the halt together. The Flux coming through. A great approach angle from Tuyu to make sure that he was going to be safe from getting stunned out of this ultimate. It does lead to Bebe getting taken down. So again, just more time bought. Half the time now getting ready to be drained away from the Hangzhou Spark. Dragon Blade nearly there for Architect. Rally not quite there for Toby. Would love to have that online before the Blade comes through.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the win condition they were looking for. He's not going to have it right now. Bob coming out, though, to just buy time. So they can't Dragon Blade until this expires or until they kill it.
Good Dynamite will stop them from pushing up, trying to finish off the Bob. QQ finally finishes it. Mika popping the Rally. The Bob going to be sent down mid. Gets pushed away by the whip shot. Flux now coming out, manages to catch two. Dodge out on the accretion. QQ stays safe. Mortality Field comes through as the Blade gets drawn out. Architect forced to use that deflect. He's trying to cut them down, gets rid of the Supercharger, but so far hasn't managed to find any kills. My phone goes off with an emergency alert. Fitz now on the high ground, chucking in the Dynamite, trying to find the hit, but can't detonate it. Still manages to pop. That's going to lead to Godsby getting taken down. The Bob tossed in to further delay as best as possible. But it's going to be essentially a 3v4 right now on the point. The slam will finish off QOQ. The Seoul Dynasty try to stop the cap from coming through, but Tuyu falling way too low. Will get taken down. Pulse bomb out from Prophet, manages to find that kill. Good stun sets up for the dash through from Architect. It will get rid of the Tracer. The cap will come in, but a good time buy there for the Seoul Dynasty. They drain the clock down considerably, so 3:15. It's going to be around 3 minutes by the time this Portcullis opens and the cart actually starts moving.
It's not too bad for Seoul Dynasty. I think they're going to be really frustrated because they were so close to holding, and Tuyu had a second Gravitic Flux during that fight, was able to buy so much time when the Blade came out. The setup there with the Immortality Field, then their defensive setup within that room was actually incredibly well executed. They're going to go deep here, though. Prophet swaps over to Genji, and they're going to try to collapse onto this cart. Might backfire a little bit here.
Almost on the catch onto Architect. Would have been a really nice one. But does manage to escape. Now has the high ground, stun into the back line, but Tuyu going to be taken out after landing that accretion. QOQ is just getting up close and personal right now with the members of the Seoul Dynasty. Jester desperately trying to stay alive, but he's having to kite away from his team, leading to his inevitable death. Another very nice accretion point blank there will finish off Prophet.
When you collapse in like that and don't get a kill, then your tank line is not where they want to be, and the attacking team has the ability to flank and wrap around your tanks. Architect can go forward, and you can see, you know, obviously he has another Dragon Blade, he's done a ton of damage. He can go forward and wrap behind Gesture, for example, whereas, you know, Gushui is just completely safe, so you end up losing the tank war. Here's a Flux, QOQ.
Yeah, finishes off Tuyu in midair. Not onto the ocean, but does manage to retreat. Window's going to be coming through as he sits in that nice little top ramp. Pop up over the top. The Bob going to be thrown in to contest the cart. Coach Cut, however, will send him off the side. Very nicely done by Godsby, who is under fire, going lower and lower, but will be kept alive. Same can't be said for Fitz. Will get finished off, but decent time made here for the Hangzhou Spark. About 1 minute 20 seconds on that push. Another 3 minutes now in the time bank for them, and still hold on to that Dragon Blade.
Yeah, they're going to make a great time here, I think. Seoul Dynasty needs to win this fight, and they need to win it very, very strongly, very handedly, very quickly. Tuyu is going to have Flux very shortly, and I think that's going to be really what they want to be the last nail in the coffin on winning this defense and starting the setup for that longer hold and getting an ult advantage. This fight is so important. They lose it, and then Hangzhou's got, you know, almost 2-minute time bank.
Here, Blade coming out now for Prophet, pushing his way forward, manages to take down Gushui. We'll get Architect as well, and that's enough for the Spark to have to abandon this push. Who's out on the bomb.
Yeah.
They still have a lot more to work with.
This is best case scenario.
Blade combo is there.
Yeah, this is best case scenario. Now they've got so much to work with here. Blade Flux combo, as you say, for Hangzhou is there, but they're going to have to close the gap and get through this doorway and get even to where the cart is before they can use that combo. And so look at how forward Seoul is playing. They're just going to buy time here. Then once Hangzhou starts getting through that doorway, they can back off. They keep Tuyu's Flux. This is really best case scenario for Seoul. They're probably extremely happy with how that last fight went.
Yeah, Matrix is out from either of these Baptistes. Flux comes through, manages to catch two. Immortality Field waiting on the ground to keep them alive. So Seoul Dynasty going to be fine for the moment. Pop buys a little bit of time as Fitz retreats all the way into the back. sure that he doesn't get picked off as easily. Rally rolling from Mika. Toby nearly with one of his own. Flux coming through. Architect has the blade out, finds Prophet first. Gonna be delaying that follow-up blade to come through as he's just 40% away from it. Now Finn's gonna be gone. There's no damage here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. They just have to hold on with this rally. Try to stop the cart from rolling through. 2.5 meters left to go, but the team is getting broken down one after the other. Jester trying to stay alive, will not be able to do so. The Hangzhou Spark crucially finished with above a minute in the time bank, 1:17 for them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time buy from Seoul, all things considered, because the B take was extremely fast because of that failed forward position they had. So that cost them big time, the risk they took there. But they bought time on that first team fight with Prophet's Dragon Blade. 2U's follow-up Flux, though, for that last fight, you know, I mean, we had his first-person view up. You could see he kind of just did it around the corner. He didn't even have full vision of exactly what he was doing. He knew where he wanted to put it, but there was no follow-up damage there. Didn't have any other ults to use with it, and Hangzhou Spark just kind of lived through that. And all the while, there was a rally coming out for Mika. So Hangzhou were able to rock through with the Dragon Blade, with Architect having extra armor on top of his Genji, and they just had larger health pools overall to just kind of steamroll through with the ult advantage they had. And you can't blame 2U for that moment because, you know, he has to Flux there. He didn't have the greatest vision, but if he stays, you know, around, if he like exposes himself around the corner, they might just get picked off mid-animation. There's just not much follow-up there, so he just tried to buy as much time as he could. But this is where Seoul Dynasty gets to show off 2U's Zarya. This is something that I think every Seoul Dynasty fan since his pickup has been speculating. Is he mostly just going to be playing Zarya with the Winston? And he finally is starting that here on the attack, so I think this is where he could really shine, and this is where Seoul could really make good time here. Fingers crossed, Seoul Dynasty fans.
Pushing their way out. Let's see if he can live up to the hype. Symmetra just to push them further forward. Swap over now onto the Genji to rejoin into Spitz. Slinks his way into the back line, throws that translocator down at the Mega Pack, and has to avoid sight. Really nice. Not getting caught.
Stealthy.
This man is a professional Metal Gear Solid player. Our packs coming through, back over towards the front lines. Seoul Dynasty have made it through the choke. 2U falling down to about half HP. They'll steadily get healed back up, but hasn't been able to get much done yet for the Zarya. Prophet just farming where he can. Is inching out a lead over Architect here for the moment. Fits on that high ground, receives an armor pack, has to jump out. On his way back over.
Okay,
see them trying not to get collapsed upon here. Into the back line, Architect hacked. Good for the finish. Meanwhile, back over towards the point. 3 members going to be gone. Godspeed finished off Architect, the only one left alive, and they know exactly where he is and will be able to finish him off. And that is going to be a very nice cap coming through for the Seoul Dynasty. Only a minute drained. Now going to get bumped back up. So massive time bank for them.
Slow and steady wins the race with the composition Seoul Dynasty is running. If they get onto the point, the Zarya bubble's almost guarantee, especially with the Ana. They just have more health, they have more healing, it almost guarantees you just win that fight on the point. And Architect was zoned out and almost dead, meanwhile, by Fitz. And there's just no way Hangzhou can win that fight without the ultimates once the Zarya gets to the point. So this is a great start here, Seoul Dynasty, for the time bank.
Well, looking for that creation to hit Prophet, isn't able to find it. QOQ going to be cut down now, looking for the finishing blow there on a Gushway. He'll be able to have it, a nice deflection, almost finishes off Mika as well. Prophet just going to be wrapping around from behind to try to catch any stragglers as they go on the retreat. The cart just going to be slowly brought forward now. Godspeed will get collapsed on a massive Bionade, connects in from Bedosian to finish him off. And Seoul Dynasty looking alive right now on
really
this push. Still 4.5 minutes, and they're getting ready to move up to start crossing this bridge.
Their comp is working exactly the way it's supposed to, too, where you have the follow-up blade after you take A with the Zarya in the ultless fight. And Hangzhou Spark, you know, they want this Gravitic Flux to stall. They're going to have a supercharging, have a blade. They're about to have all the tools required to stop this, but if anybody gets picked for the forward position of the Dynasty, then they just get the free cart roll through. There's the Bob coming out for Godspeed.
Bob through the window, they line up the whip shot. Toby sends him over the side. A lot of Bob abuse coming through. You hate to see it, but good stuff for the individual Brig players and the Ashes as well. We're sending them over the side. Flux now going to be coming through, but interrupted. QOQ loses that one instantly. That's the second time now. EMP going to be layered in on top of 2U's grab. Gushway the first to fall, the Bionade in onto QOQ. The cleanup coming in, the cart rolling through into point B. 5 minutes, 8 seconds now in the time bank. Hangzhou Spark just have not been given an opportunity to stabilize whatsoever.
Seoul Dynasty, really nice. Bubble management for 2U. He's non-stop above 60 energy. Most of the time you can see him with that, outline around the Zarya. He's doing so much work for the squad. He's often going low, but Benotion with the Ana is just kind of single target healing him to make sure he stays alive. This is record time we're seeing for Seoul.
Yeah, Mana Blade coming through, Prophet falling low, deflection keeps him alive a little bit longer. The Bionade actually comes in. He will be allowed to stay alive, but it doesn't lead to any kills. So you can see the hesitation now here for the Seoul Dynasty, as they don't have much else to work with. Dragon Blade coming in now from Architect as they work to keep him alive, and will work a treat. Cuts his way through 2 members, 3 falling in total, as the rest of the Seoul Dynasty tries to exit. Benotion just going to be hopping off the side of the map there to go ahead and get a fast reset.
I want to see what TU does on this next push, because he's going to have a grab. They may try to pair that with the EMP so they can just clean up on the point, but because of where the cart is, that's not going to be enough. That's not going to win you the map. You're not going to be able to finish off of that fight alone. You're probably going to have to fight away from the cart and then win a follow-up fight against the staggered members of the Hangzhou Spark. So they need to be really careful with how they do this, because if they mess it up, it could be Hangzhou's way back into this to just simply hold C. This is the most important fight for Seoul right now in terms of that time bank advantage.
They can't finish off QOQ as the Bionade comes through. Stun there on a Gesture. Will take a short hop just to make sure that he's not in line of sight anymore. And they'll just wait out this Amp Matrix that's thrown down by Bebe. Now does expire. Bubble going forward to you. Waiting with the grab. 60 energy, as you were saying, Wolf. Has that lined up. 4-man Bionade connects, but they can't push forward because the Flux comes out. Good timing here from QOQ. And Prophet's going to fall as Benotion dumps in with the Nano Boost to try to keep Toby alive. Pitts manages to find the EMP, gets that one ready to go, but in all likelihood, needs to just save that for the next fight.
This is Seoul Dynasty just basically playing the safest possible game. They go in, commit the Nano Boost only, which is the easiest to build of the 6 ultimates they have. They're going to come in now with EMP Grav Blade, and they should be able to group up on the
with
cart.
a rally.
And the rally. I mean, look, Hangzhou Spark can't even hold the gateway anymore, can't really hold the doorway very well. So Seoul Dynasty is going to get to spill in here and take the fight on their terms, because Hangzhou don't have the ults to stop them. The floodgates are open here, so this should be Seoul Dynasty finishing the map. The question is, how much can Hangzhou Spark delay? EMP is already at the
rally's
ready.
Going. Yeah, Toby has the rally rolling right now, trying to armor everybody up. Jester could desperately use a bit of that. Pushing forward, the bubble comes out to ensure Fitz a safety, make sure he cannot get flashbanged. Prophet will dash through, takes down Gushway. Grab comes in, Bebe going to be locked in. Prophet cleaning everybody up right now as they try to get that cart rolling. Nice headshots coming in on the back of the sleep dart there from Benotion. Great accuracy from him today. And yeah, the blade is still being held. They still have a primal rage, so they can just bat everybody away from this cart if that's what it comes down to. Window's going to be coming through, but Godspeed going to be taken down. Prophet gets rid of the supercharger, just making sure that they don't have that amplified damage coming in. Jump into the back, Jester now looking to disrupt them as the blade comes through. His first target already going to fall as he arrives, cuts down QOQ, and that will be it. 2 minutes and 1 second for the Seoul Dynasty to the 1 minute and 17 of the Hangzhou Spark as we go into extra innings.
That was really good discipline from Seoul Dynasty on holding their ults, being willing to only commit the nano to kind of freak Hangzhou Spark outright and get Hangzhou to trade some ultimates back, because if you're Hangzhou, you don't want to end up with a 3-minute plus time bank, or even a 2-minute time bank. You don't want that, but we could have been looking at like 3 minutes if that fight had gone Seoul Dynasty's way. So they have to counter ultimates back. Seoul holds the rest of their ultimates. A lot of teams would have committed everything there, saying, look, we got all the ults, we can get this huge time bank. And you see like the dollar signs in your eyes, basically the wand signs perhaps in this case, but you're like, oh, look at the time bank we could have. You see the blood in the water and you just commit everything. You get held there. Hangzhou has better ults than you. You can't finish the map. It's a risky thing to do. They played it safe. They were disciplined. They commit only the nano. They come back with that fight with all the ults. Prophet holds Blade. And actually, that was an incredible moment for Prophet too. He's just getting left click headshot kills with his dash resets. You have to be a good Genji to actually be able to get those kills without the blade, to then have the blade to finish the map. So that was like a highlight reel for Seoul Dynasty in those last 2 minutes of everything you should do on Eichenwald with the tools they had. TU going to be defending with the Sigma again here in overtime. Not going to be on the defensive Zarya, so just kind of back to what we saw before.
Yep. It was a really slow start for the Hangzhou Spark last time out. Took them about 2 minutes to get that first cap. Now with, half of that time, they're going to have to up the pace here. See if they're able to do so.
It's all about Architect.
That reason Benotion has gone over onto that Baptiste, so they make sure that they have the immortality field to survive through these neutral fights.
Yeah, Architect needs to get a pick somehow, because he's not going to have enough time to build a blade here. It's not going to be an ult fight, not for A. That's the bonus.
Good headshots there. Almost found Bebe. Mika falling down low. as well. QOQ pushed up way too far forward. The rest of the team hadn't pushed out through the side room. He just gets isolated, taken down. Now the same for Guchui. The rest of the team is going to be left out to dry, trying to exit, trying to get off the side of the map. They'll pursue in, get a little bit of extra damage. Gesture finding the halt there onto Godsby, ensures that he gets that kill credit. Yeah, and now it's just 22 seconds remaining for the Hangzhou Spark. They have that Amp Matrix ready to go, and Guchui is going to be swapping over onto the Wrecking Ball just to tag in.
They can blade off the point. They can actually blade in this archway. With Gravitic Flux, Guchui is hiding. He doesn't want to get caught by that. He wants to wait until it's out and then sneak onto the point for overtime.
Here we go. The old Carpe all in on the Widowmaker.
Not gonna happen.
Trying to make that work. And Guchui, oh my god, he barely survives, but as he rolls back over onto the point, will get taken down. They do force the O2. The Flux is going to be coming in, pulls them up into the air. The blade now coming out, but Provid instantly tagged down to 20 HP. Needs to get topped up, but he cannot. Mika manages to finish him off. Fedosian will answer back in kind. Architect dashing through, goes straight into Gesture's face. Gives him a nice little whack on the nose, finishing him off. He's going to push off now onto QOQ. He's got a sliver of HP remaining. The real rival is here from Guchui, trying to finish off that supercharger, but he can't even get that. And now the Hangzhou Spark are desperately going to be playing for a draw on Eichenwald. Otherwise, Seoul Dynasty, with their 2-minute-plus time bank, could just go ahead and move to match point if they can get this single tick.
I mean, this is peak Seoul Dynasty. This is the Seoul Dynasty people were wanting to see since the May Melee. So long ago, it feels like now. I mean, you and I had just gotten back to Korea. You're in your second quarantine now, but you know,
hooray!
It's crazy how much things can change just by adding one player in. Like, we saw this with New York when they put Bianca in the lineup. They suddenly looked a lot more solid, right? And so these flex tank weak links can really show through in a meta where the flex tank is, in both Sigma and in Zarya's case, I feel like half tank, half DPS. You know, your Zarya needs to be able to give bubbles and build up that energy quickly and beam people down. Sigma needs to be able to do consistent damage in those fights, needs to be able to shut down ultimates, needs to hit those stuns. And, you know, Marvel, it is peaks, especially early on. You know, I have to give him credit for being the best Sigma at the beginning of Sigma. We have to give him credit for that, but he hasn't been strong as of late. 2U slots in this roster so well right now. Prophet looks super empowered. He's having insane moments on the Genji. All they got to do, like you say, is finish this A, and it's over. They're on match point going into halftime. Very great start for Seoul Dynasty. This is the Seoul we've been wanting to see.
Yep. And this is exactly the position that they want to be in. Prophet again just pushing everybody forward, swaps over onto the Genji. That has been just absolutely fantastic from him thus far today. Bits again, making his way into the back line. Wants to get that translocator set up in the castle, so he's got that mega pack at his disposal, and now will look for a hack. QQ would be a prime target. Instead looks for Bebe. Trying to stop him from pulling out any immortality fields, but is unable to do so. We'll slow down the push a little bit here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Now have a minute 25 seconds remaining to get this single tick. You can see QOQ just desperately trying to spy check every single corner, every single angle.
All right,
Fitz is going to be sitting up onto the high ground with Gesture.
Zarya's on the point. This is the fight they want. Seoul wants this fight in particular.
Yeah, dive in comes through the Fortify coming out. Bione to help keep Gesture alive, working out so far. Getting a lot of cleave damage as everybody's grouped up into this little broken
No one's on the point.
Little room, and no one's at the point. It's just... Oh, no! No, no, no!
That's the power of Zarya. You get a Zarya on the point, it's over. That's why they're running this comp. That's why they had so much success with it last time. And, like, Hangzhou's probably like, oh, not me. Everyone's like, I don't want to be the one to step on the point. I'm going to get beamed down by Zarya. So everyone's kind of stepping back. I think everyone's like, someone else on the point. It's not going to be me. And then, you know, just everybody's zoned off and it's over. Well played by Seoul Dynasty. Seoul Dynasty get me a little bit hyped, a little bit excited right now. I'm not going to lie.
Calm it down. Calm it down, Wolf. It's a KT roll, certainly. You know, this is,
That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I'm like, I don't know. It's
don't get excited.
Looking good. It's looking good. I'm getting a little excited.
They are looking very good, though. I mean, up 2-0, but there have been a lot of mistakes here from the Hangzhou Spark, just absolutely blatant ones, stepping off the point in Mecha Base, now not playing the point here on Eichenwald. That is really allowed for Seoul Dynasty to close things out a lot more easily than they otherwise would have been able to do. I mean, I think Seoul probably would have still gotten this point. I think they still would have gotten the tick. But again, it's always that situation of what if that is going to be hurting the Hangzhou Spark, going to be hurting their fans and these players mentally as they get ready to go into what could be the final map of this series on the other side of the halftime. So they get a little bit of time to talk about it, to try to straighten things up and make sure that they're not going to be making these crucial mistakes anymore. But I don't know. There might not be any coming back from this. Seoul Dynasty look really, really good. We're going to be talking about this a little bit more, guys, because when we come back, we will have our game break. So stay tuned. We'll be back with that in just a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Probably surprising to some, if not most, are currently up 2-0 over the Hangzhou Spark. And I say that not because people would have thought this would have been the opposite side, but I think a lot of people coming into this might have thought that this was going to be a bit of a closer set, you know, a 1-1 at the halftime break. But Seoul are now at match point, Wolf.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking really good. I mean, this is peak Seoul Dynasty. I'm really excited to see, you know, if they win this series, how deep they can go in this tournament. If they can upset Chengdu in the next round, that would be also pretty crazy and could put Seoul Dynasty on point to potentially get that rematch against the Shanghai Dragons in the grand finals. I think that's a storyline a lot of people are looking forward to based on what we saw in the May Melee. We're still a ways away from that yet, but like I said earlier, I'm starting to get a little bit excited with how Seoul Dynasty is playing right now with 2U slotted into the lineup. They look good. Their Zarya play is pretty phenomenal with 2U in. Sigma looking better at worst case than Marvel. And, yeah, I mean, this is the Seoul Dynasty you really have been waiting for if you're a fan of this team. They finally look like they're I don't even know how to describe it in words, but they're finally on the right footing. They look prepared. They're consistent. Like, they look dominant. And it looks like a team that really has it all together, which has not been the case for the last 2 months.
It certainly has not been. It's been a really rough road for the Seoul Dynasty. I mean, even just coming into the Countdown Cup. I mean, think about their match record coming into this series today. You know, they haven't been able to put up any numbers, really. It's been pretty abysmal. I mean, you know, some close series, but overall have been getting stomped out in the majority of their matches. But now they come in here and they're looking a lot more tightened up. Prophet on this Genji is looking unstoppable, fits alongside him, you know, either going for the Sombra or the Ashe, either one he has been really, really good on. I think the only time that Fitz has looked a little bit weak in this series has been on the Widowmaker, perhaps on Busan at the start.
Yeah, Architect was zoning him
very
out,
clean from him.
But yeah, otherwise he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a Sigma who's able to win the neutral game better and more often than your opponent, then you know, obviously the DPS are going to look stronger because if the other Sigma is getting pushed back and his barriers are having to be used defensively against a Risa Sigma on the front line, then that means that Fitz can do more long-range hit scan on the Ashe. He's able to find more angles. Everything changes when you have that better flex tank. It's important to note too, QOQ historically, you know, during GOATS, he wasn't a Zarya player. He was actually the Diva player in GOATS. And so his flex tank matchup versus a Zarya specialist is probably why we're seeing not as much Zarya on the other side of things for Hangzhou Spark. So that limits their ability to run certain compositions if they're not comfortable. You know, they might be and they just haven't decided to use it yet. But from where I'm sitting, from what I can see, you know, doesn't look like they're comfortable running him on the Zarya right now.
Well, Wolf, it's that time of the series. It's time for crunch time. Let's go ahead and break it down. What do you got for me? What do you want to talk about this time? I'm going to leave a blank slate, so you just fill in the blanks here.
I think Hangzhou Spark really just need to tighten up how they're using their ultimates. They need to not overextend into Seoul Dynasty because that's been a big issue. They've been overextending, and this allows Profit when they end up getting low health by moving their tank line too far forward, especially versus a Zarya tank line that's going to be more sustainable, especially when they have Ana on top of it all. Then Profit is just going to say, "Oh, look, everyone's half health. I'm gonna hit some headshots, dash reset, kill that next target, kill that next target, kill that next target." You have to be really careful against a Genji who's at that level, especially when you're running more fragile tanks with a more fragile, healing output. You don't have the ability to sleep anybody when Profit comes through, so he's kind of been uncontested. We're seeing Profit really do quite well in these moments. So I think for Hangzhou, just play safer. You know, you've got a strong team. You've got a really rock solid composition too. Double shield's still fine. You don't have to run the Zarya per se. But just understand where your comp's weaknesses are. And I think if they could manage to see that, maybe they can come back in this series.
Well, it's a really rough road ahead of them here for the side of the Hangzhou Spark. Now need to pull off a reverse sweep if they want to advance. And again, it's one of those situations where if they're playing like this, even if they do close out the series, they need to level up a lot more because Chengdu is the opponent waiting around the corner. I'm still concerned for Seoul Dynasty if they close this out going up against Chengdu, because that is a pretty daunting opponent right now. So either team is going to have their work cut out for them, but right now Hangzhou Spark really need to kick it into high gear to try to pull off this reverse sweep. That is going to do it for our crunch time and our game break, though, guys. And when we come back, we'll have the rest of this series, see if Hangzhou can get on the board or if this is just going to be a 3-0 closeout for the Seoul Dynasty to punch their ticket into the semi-final.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Groups. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
All right, and we are back, and it's time to see if the Seoul Dynasty can close out this set 3-0, or if the Hangzhou Spark can finally fight back hard enough to get themselves on the board. Match point, again, map selection for the Hangzhou Spark, but is it going to be enough?
That's the question. I mean, it wasn't enough on Eichenwald. They finished the map with a time bank, but had an inferior one to Seoul. Seoul's attacks on A ended up being why they edged out the series, basically, or edged out the map, rather. Because, you know, their Zarya comp is great at taking A immediately. It's hard to counter that with the comp that Hangzhou Spark is running. And part of that goes back to QOQ's hero pool. So we'll see if he's going to change over to the Zarya, or if Hangzhou Spark is just going to keep running the double shield.
I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. Wolf QOQ has been subbed out. The graphic might have already gone. I'm not really sure because I can't see it. But either way, we do have Sashin stepping in alongside Gushue. So no QOQ. So they are looking to change around that, seeing, I guess, the limitations of QOQ. Even though he's been playing a pretty good Sigma, you know, changing things up, seeing how Sashin is going to fare. Hasn't worked out very well for Hangzhou Spark as of late. But I'd rather them try something and still fail than try nothing at all and fail anyway.
Well, this is Temple of Anubis is a map that has two kind of schools of thought, right? And neither of them are on attack. Neither of them are double shield. You either run.
They're going to say neither of them are correct.
No. I'm like, yeah, nobody knows this map as well as me. Trust me. No, but one obviously on attack is the Wrecking Ball Winston that we've seen a few times, which I think is the riskiest comp, and it's the Chengdu style. And, you know, we've seen some Western teams play with it as well. The other one is the Zarya Winston, right? But there is no like Orisa Sigma attack, generally speaking. So for Hangzhou, I think you have to play a Zarya. Sashin's been their go-to Zarya, and I don't know why this didn't occur to me until this moment, but as soon as you pointed it out and I realized Sashin was coming in, he has been their go-to Zarya player all season, basically, in moments where Zarya is required. Remember, for those who don't know, Sashin used to be a DPS player who only recently became a flex tank. So
well, he was a Pharah one trick for a while.
Yeah. So he's starting on the Zarya here. They're going to run that Winston Zarya with the Sombra dive. So very much an ult-based push here for Hangzhou Spark. Could cost them a time bank. And Seoul is actually running a Mei defense here. Very unusual. See if they can build up a fast Blizzard.
Ooh, okay, well, Architect trying to escape, but he was either going over the wall towards Prophet or getting dragged back down and finished off. The Sleep Dart connects onto Prophet, but no one can get in there to actually finish him off. No one has the damage output to kill him before he can make it into an ice block. So,
looks
will
like
just be unpunished.
Sashin's kind of just eating some damage there to build a fast nano boost. I think they want to go for a nano Gushue here. They're going to nano boost Gushue on the point shortly. As soon as he builds that last 30%, I think that's the game plan here for Hangzhou Spark. They're going to try to use that push to build their DPS ultimates. You can see Gushue playing
jumping
very
in, looking for the split. Architect as well, getting right up into their face, and Prophet will finish him off. Nice right-click headshot coming in, but it will be at the cost of Padoshin though, so that's going to be severely limiting Seoul Dynasty's healing and forces them off of that front high ground.
There's the
now
nano.
peel back over towards the point, and this is where things can really start unraveling for them. The Dynamite from Fitz will manage to find kill onto Godspeed. The nano boost going to be rolling here from Gushue as he looks for a target. Prophet taken down as he pops out of that ice block and fits in a pretty awkward position. Going to try to farm for some extra damage before getting taken down. A couple hits in, armor pack coming out. We'll just make sure that Architect survives and gets that kill. So a very nice time bank set up here on the cap of A for the Hangzhou Spark.
Yeah, I mean, it's that nano boost I was talking about. Bebe builds it early. Sashin just kind of eats some damage to try to build up his energy while also, you know, he's trading those bubbles for that and then taking some extra damage so Bebe can get the nano. Nano goes on to Gushue when he's in the perfect spot. Doesn't even have the primal, which he had available if it was needed. So this is a really great time bank start for Hangzhou Spark. We're coming into B with big ultimates online. I mean, this could be a very fast cap on B if this EMP ends up going off well. Blizzard's going to be the hardest part of this. They're going to commit Primal.
Okay. Yeah, Primal comes out first. Going to be a lob in from Sasha. Does manage to catch a couple people. They don't have the follow-up, though, from something like a Dragon Blade. The Blizzard there thrown down, trying to buy a little bit of time for the side of the Seoul Dynasty, but they are just crumbling right now. EMP comes out, will catch Fitz, the Bob over on the point, still going to be sitting there for a little bit longer, shooting where it can, but will get finished off, and the cap starts coming through. 2U swaps over onto that Wrecking Ball, gets stunned up as he tries to make his way over onto the point, will get finished off. Godby finding that kill. Dragon Blade now out from Architect, cutting them down as they try to approach, and it's a massive time bank here for the Hangzhou Spark, looking alive on Temple of Anubis. 4 minutes and 26 seconds as they get B.
You know, this is the other side of the coin. When I was talking about that discipline we saw from Seoul Dynasty on Eichenwald, where they used one ult, the nano, and then waited, then came in. This is the other side of the coin where you just use everything on the push. They had a bigger ult advantage, Hangzhou did in this case, than what we saw on Eichenwald for Seoul on the previous map. But this is what happens when you do take the risk of tossing in all the ultimates, you execute it well, and then you just get the point. If Seoul defends here, then suddenly Hangzhou used all of their ultimates. They're in a really bad spot. They can't finish B necessarily. So it was high risk, high reward. But they get the reward. They reap the rewards this time, 4.5 minutes. The time bank here. So with a solid defense for Hangzhou Spark, I mean, Sasha's Zarya so far has been really good of what we've seen from him. You know, you're probably feeling like, okay, we've kind of got this map in the bag is probably where your mind's at right now for Hangzhou.
Sure.
So great start. Seoul Dynasty is really going to have to match the time bank here in order to have a shot at this map. Anything, I mean, you know, if they go down below like 2 minutes on their push, it's going to be really hard to close this series out.
That it is. Playing around with a couple different things right now. Prophet showing the Reaper, but curious if he might just go back over to the May for the May McCree. Looks like he's inclining to run this, though, at least for the start.
I mean, this is
and
greedy
very
for
good
Seoul.
at shutting down the dive from Gucci.
This could really cost them a lot of time bank. If this first push doesn't work, I mean, they're almost guaranteed to have a worse time bank. It's all about that sustainability with the Reaper.
Well, they're looking for the counter dive, and that's exactly how it works. They jump in. Gucci tries to go forward. He still builds up 30% towards that primal rage, but yeah, the combination or the flashbang in with the Reaper means that he just gets locked into place, and the damage output is just so huge that he gets taken down. Can they make their way onto the point, though, before Gucci has time to stabilize and get back in with the team? I think the answer is going to be no. He's basically already here as they start inching their way through. Prophet, oh dear, goes in. It was way too far gone. One tick will get picked up by the Seoul Dynasty, and they're even going to be investing this Amp Matrix sitting in the side room right now, trying to take people down. But it's just going to be the Seoul Dynasty are actually losing out on members. But Ocean will manage to find one, but a little bit of an overcommitment with that ult in the end.
The comp is too slow, right? You kill Gucci when he dives in, and that's exactly what their whole game plan was. You could tell Fitz was ready for it. He's walking out the front. He's like, oh, dive me, I dare you. They flashbang, they kill the monkey, right? But then the follow-up is too slow. Now they have no ults. I thought they were going to swap composition, but they're not even going to do that. Do you think Gucci is going to dive in again? I don't think he's going to do this to you again. You're not going to get a free Winston kill again. Not this time. So now they're already basically guaranteed a worse time bank.
Well, there's an Nano Blade. Architect diving in will get rid of that immortality field, and he is kept alive. Manages to find 4 with the blade itself. Follow-up kills coming through as Bedosian gets staggered at the end. Gucci will take that for himself.
You can't.
And go again.
You can't live through that without Zarya. You know, in that situation, you're just gonna die. Immortality field's gonna get blown up immediately, and you know, Prophet can't peel. That's not what Reaper's gonna do in this moment. So look at Hangzhou's ultimates too. Like Seoul might not be a time bank problem anymore. They might actually struggle to finish A. Might get full health.
Okay, well, Bob waiting for them around the corner. We'll go ahead and just focus fire that down. Buys a couple seconds here for the Hangzhou Spark as they go on this approach. Sashin still high energy. Almost takes down Gesture. Flux will be coming in. Graviton Surge locks him in place as Gucci drops down on top of him. Prophet will find Architect, though, follows up, gets rid of the Winston, and suddenly they may have broken through. Hangzhou Spark is going to get shut down now. Sashin falling. The res comes out into Gucci, but he is just going to be dead on arrival. Mika tries to exit. Prophet pushing forward to get the finishing blow. Will manage to do so. And Seoul Dynasty suddenly back in this. Will be starting off with a lower time bank than the Hangzhou Spark. So advantage to them no matter what.
Exactly. I mean,
but they still could finish this with a pretty healthy time.
If this fight goes their way, I mean, 1 minute the deficit isn't too bad. It was really well played, actually, just abusing the fact that Sashin was using his bubbles early. He was at 100 energy, but then he didn't have any more. Prophet is going to try to, looks like, blossom on the point. This could this could not be absorbed. Like, Hangzhou doesn't have any way to mitigate that. They're just going to have to play safe and bubble.
Looks like we have a pause.
Yeah.
You can see the double P coming out in the chat there. So are just going to have to take a quick little pause here. Seems like something going to be an issue on the Hangzhou Spark side, I think.
Well, Hangzhou have, they're going to have a Blade. They're going to have Primal when Gouche respawns. And they should have a Nano Boost as well shortly after that. The Death Blossom can get high value because there's no Kinetic Grasp. There's no Defense Matrix. Yeah. It's going to be hard to avoid that. You kind of just have to physically avoid it or somehow stun the Reaper or kill him before he, before it starts
sleep
to
him.
Sleep him, for example. So this is actually a moment like this. Everything is kind of up in the air here for Seoul. This could go incredibly well, but then also Prophet could be slept or just immediately blown up. He could be bionated and then killed, before anyone could heal him or save him. So this is really like, I mean, this pause timing is kind of like Schrodinger's cat right now, where like you don't know when you open the box, you don't know if the Death Blossom actually, it's Schrodinger's Blossom. When you open the box, you don't know if Prophet gets like a 4K and they win the map, or if he just dies and then Seoul's time bank is significantly worse. We're about to find out. It can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, so once we have this taken care of, we should be able to jump in and see if it's going to work out here for them. So hopefully we can get things taken care of rather quickly here for the side of the Spark. I'm being told we're about, a minute or two out from being able to jump back into this game. So for now, we just get to have a nice little catch-up with Wolf and I. Haven't been able to see each other, obviously, in a while. I had to go to America, and now I'm back in Korea, but I can't leave my apartment for, what are we at? I don't even know what day it is. It hasn't even been that long.
I think today's your second day, right? Like you have like 12 more days.
I got back on Tuesday, so I got a couple. It's been a couple days. Tuesday will be a week, so I got to go 2 weeks locked in my apartment. So it just means I get to play a lot of WoW Classic and Overwatch, I guess. So
yeah, I mean,
not too different from my normal life.
We take it very seriously here, the coronavirus. Anyone traveling from risky areas like the United States of America, which is kind of at the top of the list, but we're back in. Rally's going to come out here to give him that armor when he goes in for the Blossom. Bebe, all eyes on him. If he can hit the sleep, it's huge. He knows exactly where Prophet is, and he wants that Nano, too, for Architect. Oh, there's the kill.
Prophet's going to be taken down. Luckily for him, he doesn't lose the Death Blossom in the middle of the fight. Architect, however, going to be drawing out the blade. The Bionate is absolutely massive from Bebe. Catches all 5 remaining members of the side of the Seoul Dynasty. And that will be the cleanup. They get close to a tick. They can't quite get across that line.
I'll be
Dynasty
honest.
going to be coming back in. It's nearly ready to go, but the time bank going to be weakened.
I'll be honest, like, I think even keeping this Reaper here is potentially a mistake. Like, sure, they traded ults favorably. Like, Hangzhou had to use a lot there. They're not going to have a Nano Boost this time. They're not going to have a Blade. But, like, Prophet, he could just die instantly again, and then what is the Reaper for, right? I mean, I think swapping over to a Sombra, for example, even just dropping the Deadeye, these are things that could actually be the stronger option to guarantee you get a finish, because right now, I'm not sold on Seoul Dynasty actually finishing this map with the comp they're running. They're burning so much time off of their own clock by continuing to hope for these Blossom fights.
Ooh. We get a lot of damage out onto Gooch when I push up onto the high ground. Drop down comes in with the Death Blossom. Prophet barely being kept alive, but he doesn't manage to find any kills. Hits, however, will. It's a headshot there onto Godsby. The res comes in now onto Sashin, putting him back into the fight after he gets taken down by the Flux. The grab, however, is going to be a massive whiff. Sashin, he didn't push far enough out from the catacombs, clips the corner, and grabs absolutely nothing. Seoul Dynasty now get entrenched on the point. They force a recall out from Godsby. Stun comes in onto Sashin as he swaps back over onto the Diva. They will instantly break him out of the mech. Deadeye there from Fitz now, doesn't find a kill itself, but follows up onto Mika, getting rid of the Mercy. Ensuring that there's not going to be any reses coming in. Hangzhou Spark trying to buy some time. Architect nearly has another Dragon Blade, needs it to be absolutely massive, but he loses out on the Nano Boost now, unless he can wait for Bebe to come back into the fight. Architect, however, will get taken down. A res is there from Mika onto Bebe to put him back through. The Nano Boost going to be used on the Sashin, but there's so much focus fire, so much damage from the side of the Seoul Dynasty that he just cannot last, even as a Wrecking Ball. They finish him off, they get the cap onto B, but it's almost 3 minutes down, 139 here for Seoul.
Yeah, it's not a great time bank. They finished the map, though, which I was really concerned about. The Death Blossom didn't get kills, but it helped set up the Gravitic Flux kill that we saw from 2U, and Fitz was able to get a headshot at that angle when the big Death Blossom threat caused everyone to spread on the side of the Hangzhou Spark, so gave him an angle. So functionally, the Blossom didn't fill the kill feed, but it did allow and empower the rest of Seoul Dynasty to get those kills. Hangzhou Spark now in a position where, you know, all they need to do here is have a solid hold on A, and they're just going to keep the composition standard. I actually like how they run Mika on the Mercy here too, because it gives you opportunities to res Gushue in particular, who is getting most of the resources from Sashin and Bebe. So it makes a full cap on A with such a small time make so difficult to pull off, because the res is, you know, you don't have to build it. It's a cooldown ability, right? You have it right from the start, so you have essentially a get out of jail free card unless things go really wrong. As we saw on that last cap for Seoul, like Gushue got res, but it was too late. Seoul Dynasty want to try, I mean, there's definitely enough time to build an EMP here. They're going to use Coalescence as well as a big tool to try to get this A point opened up. Trying to get fast building ultimates and just overwhelm the Hangzhou Spark. Even running the Lucio here, I like it a lot. Fast moving, heavy dive, commitment composition.
Well, looking for the hack. Manages to find it. Gushue gets a leap off in time to go back up towards his team.
Yeah.
They're not going to find that punish that they really wanted.
If he got hacked, that would have been a dead Winston, so.
Yeah, that could have just been the point going to the side of Seoul. Fitz works his way around the back.
He wants it again.
Which way again? Looks like he does. Architect, eluding gesture.
There you
go. A lot of
go.
damage in with the help of Godspeed. Will take him down, but it's going to be a trade out on the Winstons. We'll see if Seoul Dynasty can continue to press forward. Otherwise, they're going to have to try and disengage it with Toby going down. I would suggest that to be the option. They'll have to try to peel back out of here as Fitz will exit with the translocator. Everybody else just giving up their lives now. 45 seconds as Fitz continues the farm, but they know exactly where he's at, so this is still a really risky game for him. The Dynamite up over the top draws him out of stealth. He jumps back
He's
over,
probably gonna die.
gets that health pack, and yeah, he will.
And I mean, look, he got 63%, but that's not enough. They went for, they could have had two options, right? They could have looked for the EMP team fight where he just farms, and then they come in for the EMP fight, or they look for the Winston hack kill. They got the Winston hack kill, but it was a trade, so they couldn't actually capitalize on it. And now he doesn't have the EMP fight either, so we'll lose-lose here.
And Architect has a blade.
Yeah.
Needs to be the hack target here from Fitz. Try to shut him down before he can get that blade off. Toby getting tagged up. Gesture dead on arrival as he tries to leap in. Nasha just gonna finish him off. The nail blade now coming in. Moira does not stand a chance, but Ocean gonna be taken down. They're chasing in, looking for Toby. Will be able to finish him off. They barely tag in onto the point to force the OT, but can anybody last long enough? The answer is gonna be no. The Bob is there. He is keeping everybody at bay. And now Seoul Dynasty have to hold off Hangzhou Spark for 4 minutes and 26 seconds, deny them from getting a single tick just to force a draw.
Yeah, it's extremely unlikely, but we play these. We do these. See if
obviously.
Yeah, we'll see if
not just gonna forfeit out.
Yeah. We play those
4 minutes.
We play those.
Can't do it. Screw it. Take us. Cancel it. We're out of here.
We'll see if Seoul can pull off a miracle hold here. It's also not a dire situation for Seoul by any means because they are up 2-0 in the series. So, you know, I mean, winning the draw isn't going to feel that great because you're still going to be just one off. If it was like a 2-1 or a 2-2, obviously you'd be like, oh my god, this is so important. And we'd be setting the stakes up pretty high. Right now, Seoul's probably like, well, let's give it our best shot. But, I mean, they're obviously going to play their best. But this is not a moment where, like, everyone's hands are shaking and it's like, ooh, can we do the 4-26 hold? Everyone's going to try their best, but it's not the end of the world.
You say that, but how many times have Seoul gone up 2-0 in a series and then gotten reverse swept?
A lot.
I would be sweating right now if I was them, actually.
Yeah, but you can't close a series out either way. You want it to be a 2-0 after
not
this.
on this map, no. But
I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm
have some concern.
Sure, I'm not. By the way, I just want to make
swing.
it clear. I'm not trying to argue that Seoul's just not going to try here, but.
Sure.
I mean,
I don't think that for a second.
They're not running the May, or they're not playing greedy. They're just playing for, you know, the staying power the Tracer's going to have, that consistent damage output, more mobility.
Where's Godspeed? Sober, okay.
They could just play for the EMP. I don't think Godspeed's going to be looking for tank hacks. Obviously, there's no Winston on Seoul's defense, but Godspeed's just going to left click until he has the Q button ready, and then that's going to be the play.
Looking for deny on the leap in. Bionade connects onto both tanks here for the side of Seoul. A nice halt. Pulls Bebe into line of sight. He gets finished off as the Dynamite connects in onto Godspeed there.
If you can zone Godspeed out and prevent him from building a quick EMP, that's going to be your best time buy for Seoul Dynasty. He's going to get one no matter what, but if you could delay the second one then and, you know, prevent value from going off into those EMP fights, shut him down, Seoul has a chance of drawing this.
I mean, he better get an EMP with 4 minutes and 26 seconds at the start.
He should
otherwise
get 2,
we have a new,
right? In theory.
Otherwise, we have a new benchmark.
Yeah.
As far as measurements of time goes.
Yeah.
Another boot back, stopping Gushue from landing on the high ground.
Bubble completely ignored here. Sasha gets no energy, actually.
Yeah,
that's really well
to
done
build up anything
from Seoul to just not shoot at that.
Good restraint, good trigger discipline. As Architect goes on the flanks to expand on these right clicks, but can't quite get around that Orisa barrier. Another one's going to be dropped in as he collapses on top of Toby. Immortality Field comes in the last second, trying to keep him alive, and now the Primal Rage comes in. Gushue with the Primal, and the Nano goes into the back, is trying to finish off Fitz. A couple more hits would get him. Can he do it? He's eluding him, pushes him back with the Coach Gun, will finally kill him off, but he ends the pursuit very deep. Luckily for the rest of the Hangzhou Spark, they have not lost anybody back over towards the point, at least yet. Prophet stunned up, barely gets a recall off to stay in the fight, and Fitz is going to be swapping over onto the Reaper, trying to get back over to the point now. Thinks better of it, moves over to the Sombra, but it might be too late. Dragon Blade comes in, and Toby is going to be gone, but Prophet cuts him down. Can they turn this around? See Gesture trying to pile into the corner, but will just get tagged up, will get taken down, and they cannot arrive in time to force out the OT to try to extend this. So the Hangzhou Spark will not go down 0-3 into this series. They put themselves on the board with a win on Temple of Anubis.
Yeah, it was the very fast building nano boost Winston that actually saves the day. And Gushue was able to, or not saves the day, but closes it out. It wasn't like a crisis situation by any means. But it was a really fast build on the Primal Rage as well, not just the nano, because there was no May on the other side. They were running the double shield, so Gushue was able to just build that really quickly. The big threat was always the EMP, but there's a chance you just straight up win the map off of the nano boost into the Primal, and that's how Hangzhou did it. So time big advantage, really huge here. They got to play it slow and steady, and they won the race.
Yeah, really good now for the Hangzhou Spark, looking like they're back in the driver's seat. Sashin, you know, barring the one big whiff on the Graviton Surge, still looking pretty good here. Overall for the Zarya, energy build has been pretty good for him. We'll see if he's going to be sticking through, or depending on what the Seoul Dynasty's map pick is going to be, if we're going to be seeing QOQ come back in. All that and more when we return after the break, so stay tuned, guys. Just a few minutes out, we'll see if Seoul can close this out, or if Hangzhou Spark can take one step closer to pulling off a reverse sweep.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile.
Welcome back. Hangzhou Spark now on the board. The win on Temple of Anubis. Seoul Dynasty get to pick a map for the first time here in this series and see if they can close out the set with that pick. It's going to be Route 66 coming up. Wolf, what do we think about that?
Well, I think Route 66 is definitely one of the maps that, like, I feel like the big maps that really showcase teams' weak points and mistakes are Route 66 and Junkertown. They're both maps that have contests on choke points on A, and you go to B, and there's a similar situation there where a lot of teams will make mistakes trying to contest the point, will give over crazy time banks. C is very difficult to cap on these types of maps, so I think anything could happen here for sure. I want to say that I think Seoul is going to close this out, but this is one of those maps where things can go wrong, and then you could actually kind of get owned, and then your mental is boomed, as we say, and then go into map 5 where Hangzhou Spark suddenly just takes the series away. It wouldn't have been my choice, let's just say. It would have been my choice for map, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, feeling confident with this pick, clearly. Otherwise, wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's
I'm
not wrong
to see,
or anything like that, but it's not what I would have done.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if we're going to have that very forward hold coming in from both of these teams, pulling up in the train cars right up against the cart at the very beginning here, or if they're going to be a little bit more restrained, play back and try to contest the cart around Big Earls while utilizing that high ground. We'll have to wait and see, though. As the picks start to come in, and we do have the Seoul Dynasty first on the defense.
This is a map where you have double shield on defense and the Winston Zarya on attack in most cases. And that's what we're seeing, in the lineups here. Now remember, there's been this strategy a lot of teams are running with double shield where they just go into the containers at the beginning, and that's been kind of a mixed bag where you try to get the Brigida knockoffs. I respect that Seoul Dynasty are not going to do that because.
At least not at the moment. They're waiting. I think they might actually just push out around the side.
Yeah, I think you're right.
At the last second?
I think they're just going to go squat on the cart and then back up as Hangzhou starts to get momentum to Big Earls and double shield on the high ground. I like starting on the high ground on Big Earls, but I don't know about this forward starts. It's very risky, but they're going to stay forward.
They're looking for it.
Yeah.
They have the double boop-off potential here with the Holtz pulling him to the side, as well as Toby getting the whip shots. Production for now just going to be occupying the high ground straight up here in the back.
Watch Sashin's ult charge. That's going to be how you see how much damage he's doing, and that's the best way to track probably how his shields are going. And the Brigida's obviously knockoffs here.
Yeah, Mika pushing up, armor packs coming through, trying to keep Gushue alive. I think we'll be able to do so as Prophet gets in a bit deep here against the members of the Hangzhou Spark, taking them all rather low. Baby going to be eliminated. Already has that nano boost ready to go.
80,
great healing coming out from him.
80 energy, 100 energy here for Sasha, but they're just not able to commit into the fight. Tuyu, by the way, is popping off. He did an insane amount of damage. There's a pick on the Godspeed. Nice shot there, but Tuyu's going to have a flux here in a second. Like, this is actually crazy how much damage he's doing.
Yeah, that could be absolutely instrumental in shutting this down.
He's got a flux. Look at this.
I mean,
so fast.
I mean, when you play this close, the Sigma, he's got so many things to bounce his fuse off of to really ensure that he's getting damage. So, really nicely done. Godspeed taking down Fitz, but Prophet gets a little bit of vengeance here. The Pulse Bomb coming through. Oh, man, he double dips. Gets rid of Bande as well. Now follows up on Namika, getting rid of both of these supports, is wreaking havoc against the Hangzhou Spark, who have yet to move this cart at all.
When it works, right? When you hold here, and you find this level of success, it's insane. Fitz is going to swap over to Somber too because he's like, you know what? Actually, I think we've got some momentum here. I can really push this further with EMP.
Dear.
And there's a good start for this next fight. But
now there's a hack on Gushue. He's way in the back. He's going to die.
Yeah, I don't know why he was. I mean, I guess he had one way to escape, and he was hoping to re-engage with the Mega Pack. But Sasha's going to have grab.
Splat onto the wall.
And they're going to have Blade, but Sasha needs to start from 0 every time he gets picked on his energy, so it's really hard to take away. And it's hard to grab, actually, in these locations. It's not easy to get that one off the way you want it to be.
Yeah. Deflection now going to be down. Bionade connects. So the two members here on the side of the Seoul Dynasty that will cause them to pull back. Pulse Bomb out will find Mika, but 3 members already gone for the Seoul Dynasty. Architect trying to slice through that immortality field. Instead, Fedoshin's just going to exit it up on top, and Architect will be able to find 2 kills in the back end. So the card finally starting to move forward here for the Hangzhou Spark. Well, it was. No one's on it now.
Yeah, they're
moving it forward now, but I mean, look how much time has been chewed up here. Almost 3 minutes gone.
They chased because they need to get more than just that team fight and start to roll the cart. They need to keep the momentum going. Otherwise, Hangzhou, or rather, Seoul Dynasty just shows back up with an EMP. They're going to have a flux soon. Like, you've got to take these advantages and keep pushing them. So where they're not putting multiple members on the cart, they're actually just playing forward here. They want to try to control this choke. EMP is almost
a hack on the Guangzhou. They finish him off, making sure that he cannot use that Primal Rage, so it's going to be more time bought. Graviton Surge comes out from Sashin, can't quite see where it's at, but Mika will be able to get rid of Profit. Fitz dropping down, it's directly on top of the cart. EMP goes out. Will manage to find two. Nano Boost invested on the Sashin to keep him alive and in the fight. So far, it's working out rather well. He's going to push forward, still high energy, gets hacked again. Doesn't come up with any kills and is barely being kept alive right now by Bebe and Mika, putting everything that they have into it. Primal Rage held for the moment by Guangzhou. Pops it as he hits the ground, but Sashin taken down by the Flux. EMP out. Manages to find four, but Conspi is dead as he tries to hit the ground. Gesture will be eliminated as Bebe finds that kill, but with 18 seconds remaining, the Hangzhou Spark have to get across to point A. They have to get that time bank bump. Otherwise, Seoul Dynasty very well may be able to close this out, barring a fuller hold of the hand of the Hangzhou Spark.
Yeah,
they're looking to avoid that as best as possible.
Rally's
it's going to be taken down. The rally now rolling from Mika the Pulse Bomb in from Architect. Build that one up rather quickly, but doesn't manage to find any kills. Got rid of the Immortality field, and now 2U will fall. He's still looking good for the Hangzhou Spark. Seems like they might just be able to persevere. Hacking onto Toby to get the finishing blow. Does Architect now looking for another target. Gesture is a pretty prime one. Has a supercharger ready to roll, but cannot drop it. There's no one to benefit from it. The Hangzhou Spark will get a second lease on life. Moving forward into point A, getting that 2.5-minute bump.
That was a really close call. Hangzhou Spark almost kind of got locked in that sunk cost fallacy where they committed a lot of ultimates early on in the fight, and they just kept committing more ultimates. It's like, well, we have to win this one, we have 20 seconds left, and then everything got committed without being used in conjunction with each other, whereas if they all waited to grab EMP Primal together, they probably would have gotten it no matter what, but they do finish. Fitz is going to swap over here to the Torbjorn, something he's been known to do very recently. Trying to control...
Yeah, we've been seeing this a lot more as of late.
Yeah, he's trying to control flank angles here against the dive.
Well, the supercharger is out, Nano Boost on the Guangzhou. They'll be able to get the Primal online, but now gets stunned up as Bebe got taken down. Kotsby and Sashin both with sliver of HP, so Sashin will fall. And it seems like Seoul Dynasty will be allowed to go ahead and stabilize here. Guangzhou smartly not overcommitting with the Primal Range to try to turn the fight around, so does have that for this reapproach. And there's a lot more ultimates getting ready to come up here for the Hangzhou Spark.
Yeah, Hangzhou in a really nice, comfortable position here. They're going to have EMP as well, setting up for what could be a huge fight for them to guarantee B. Gonna get a ton of energy, 40 energy here, probably. Guangzhou has bubbled just then. No stick here for Profit, so that's another tool gone on the defense. Hangzhou looks poised to just smash through.
I mean, that's one that you would love to have. Speaking of pulse bombs, Architect will get rid of Fitz. Graviton Surge comes in, catches him on the staircase. Sun comes out to try and stop Sashin from ripping them to pieces, but the rest of the team collapses forward. They capitalize on top of it. And Seoul Dynasty, now the question is, do they want to try to go for a last-second contest of this cart? My guess would be no.
Yeah, they should not. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is a map that, like, kind of attracts this weird sort of, like, misplay. I don't know why on A and B in particular, teams just like to come and contest and feed in one after the other, just like my solo queue games like this. But here we go.
They are pushing out. We'll see if it's going to benefit them. 2U instantly going to be greeted with the EMP for members total hacked on the side of the Seoul Dynasty, and they will clean them up one after the other. And Jester, yeah, he's not going to be able to do anything.
Look, I've been casting.
So, I mean, a couple ults built up in this time for the Seoul Dynasty, but
I've been casting Overwatch long enough to know that, like, teams will just contest this and it won't work, and the attacking team will just get more ult chart. They'll be like, yeah, I'll trade. Everyone gets more ult for like 3 seconds. Okay, sure.
To be fair, I actually don't mind this just from the perspective of getting rid of the EMP. They do get rid of that tool, so they don't have it for rolling into the garage and just burning it to try to get to point C in rapid time.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
from that perspective, I actually don't mind the push forward there from the Seoul Dynasty. Hacking now out onto Toby. Immortality Field will keep him alive as we do see the Molten Core thrown down on the point. But Architect manages to find two. Both supports hugging each other for dear life in the pack line. Get taken down by the same pulse bomb explosion. Architect barely manages to escape. 28 HP for him. He does slip his way out to safety and finishes off Gesture in the process. Seoul Dynasty, we're going for that very forward hold here onto the cart, trying to catch it at the corner, but the Hangzhou Spark have broken through. still under a minute remaining.
Looks
and
like
time to
Seoul.
recontest for the Seoul Dynasty, but can they stop this card?
I think they're just trying to play for bringing this time bank down to 0. You know, they keep trading, they keep touching the cart, they keep just, I mean, they're always down on ultimates as a result, but if they can bring it down to 0, then they get a better time on their attack. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. They're thinking about the future, they're thinking about their attack run more than this defense. If they get a hold here, it'd be huge. Don't have good ultimates, though.
Ooh. Almost finished. Gushue would have been absolutely massive as he just now has that Primal Rage online. Architect getting tagged up around the side, will be able to exit, picks up that Mega Pack that they have hacked out right now from Godsby. Bradley's rolling for Toby, trying to armor everybody up. Gesture going to get caught, Bionade thrown in on top of him as well. They still haven't finished him off, but just now do they find that kill. That's going to be the grab in Primal Rage, just cleaving them all down. Another Pulse Bomb in for the Big Bang combo. Architect gets himself another 2 kills. And in overtime, the Hangzhou Spark will be able to roll through to the end of Route 66. Seoul Dynasty certainly did not make it easy for them, but Hangzhou Spark crucially have an opportunity here, at least to go into those extra rounds if they cannot full hold here on a Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the game plan for Seoul Dynasty after we saw them trade out the EMP and they went for that defense of B, which, you know, I think everyone has different takes on that. I am personally not a huge fan. Watch this, by the way. Sasha's energy management is super good. He comes in here with 100 energy when he tosses the grab and just right-clicks everybody down. Like, watch this right-click damage once the barrier's gone. And it's the pulse on top of it all, but like his right-click damage was actually insane there. That's what sets up the Big Bang.
Rips people to pieces.
I mean, at 100 energy, you hit like 3 right-clicks, you kill half the people on Seoul Dynasty, so.
Yeah.
I think Seoul, I mean, a lot of the success and a lot of the time bank being depleted was actually because of their risky forward hold they had on A. I mean, they put the time bank down really low. You know, Hangzhou Spark narrowly gets that push through to A. I mean, it was an overtime finish, barely worked. So if Seoul Dynasty have a strong attack here and end up with a good time bank, then, you know, I think it's all worth it in the end. But I think if you're a Seoul fan, you're like, uh-oh, it feels like things are starting to go wrong. It feels like, you know, this is not the same Seoul we saw at Eichenwald. On Anubis, things were slipping a little bit. We saw some Prophet, Reaper, speaking of which. Try to anti-Gushue again, it looks like. With this, just flash bang and blow him up. That's the idea.
Yeah, a much different defensive setup here for the side of the Hangzhou Spark. You can see them having to exit now, but Architect doesn't get allowed to do that. They flash bang him, and they kill him. Or was it Cretion? Either way, he was stunned, and they finish him off. So that's going to be a decent amount of space now opened up here for the Seoul Dynasty to start pushing forward. I mean, and this is the danger of not running the double shield, not running any shields on defensive Route 66.
You get poked down. I mean, Fitz has free reign here. It's a multifaceted comp. It's great at anti-dive for the Gushue dives in, but it's also great at range, you know, it's shipping everybody down.
Maybe doing his damage. I mean, look at the build time here for this guy. His nano boosts have been superb. He and Bedosian, both when they're running this Ana so far today, have just been having excellent build times. So Nano's ready, drops it here onto Gushue, who will find Tuyo at the start. Shield Bash comes through, but that's not going to do much to dissuade Gushue. Like the rest of the Hangzhou Spark want to get involved. They get their participation awards as they push inside of Big Earls and finish off the members of the Seoul Dynasty. So cart control now in the hands of the Spark.
I think Prophet should swap. He's not going to, though. And that's what worries me. Again, I mean, we saw him set up for the kills on Anubis. He wasn't the one who got them. And he's still very good against what Gush is running, but I don't see why a Genji doesn't, what a Genji or a Sombra wouldn't add to this composition the same way, even though Prophet rarely plays the Sombra. You know, I feel like it's somewhat limiting for Seoul.
I mean, it seems like this is just the same mentality that they had for Temple of Anubis, which is looking for that anti-dive. It worked in getting the first pick onto Gushue on Temple, but now it's not looking so great for him. Nice stun, however, on Architect. They'll allow for Prophet to get the shutdown, but 2 members now fall from the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Bedosian and Fitz both out of the fight. Prophet falling low as Gushue just continues to push forward, leaving them all down. Should he even want to, he can pop the Primal Range and get them all in the corner, but it doesn't matter because Sashin's just going to pick up 3 on the back end.
Yeah.
Now has that grab ready to go, and they could just go full cleave yet again with this grab Primal.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and they just keep trading ultimates favorably. Seoul Dynasty's about to have 6, but if you look at what ultimates they are, Hangzhou Spark, do they have the counters per se? Not really, but they could just outlast this. They could just out-survive this. I mean, getting Prophet in a position to get a nice Death Blossom is way harder here than it is on Anubis B. I can tell you that much. He's just now coming online with it. He's going to try to wrap around the side here and perhaps teleport in, but this is going to be a really hard fight for the Seoul Dynasty, but they've got to take it. They can't swap now. It's too late. They're going to have to look for this big 6-ult push through the grab, through the nano.
Oh, man, Bebe just snipes down Fitz as soon as he goes in for the Deadeye, completely nullifying that. Now a Bionade out onto 3. Bebe doing such serious work here for his squad. Graf not really going to be able to find anything. Everybody splits away, but it might not matter because Sasha is still 100 energy and he's still taking people down. He's claiming names. Gesture falls and Nano Boost out here onto Architect to help him build up for that next Dragon Blade. And suddenly, it's 55 seconds remaining on Seoul Dynasty's map pick. The Hangzhou Spark might just be able to pull off this full hold and take us to a 5th and final map.
I mean, you reap what you sow, right? Or in this case, perhaps you don't. In Seoul Dynasty, man, there's a chance here, but EMP is ready. The Blade can come with it. Seoul's really going to need a miracle for this fight. I mean, Hangzhou Spark have everything they need here. Prophet,
4 ults gone.
Prophet can't. There's no sneaky Reaper play. This isn't Gold League. He's not just gonna like surprise them with a backline Death Blossom. EMP's out.
Oh, there's the EMP. Manages to find 4. The Dragon Blade comes in, and Toby is gonna be the first one to fall. Dragon Death Blossom, however, does manage to find one. Prophet gets another one. It might actually be able to break through on this one. Bebe, Mika, and Godsby the last one standing, and they start pulling their way back, trying to stay safe. Drop down from Godsby over on the cart. Will cost him. And I think if you're the Hangzhou Spark, yeah, you just got to go for the exit. Look, I mean, shoot up a lot of time. You force them down to 2.5 minutes. That's still pretty damn good for them. Now you have to try to win it out on this second
Prophet's
phase.
philosophy with this Blossom, you know, is the same philosophy with the anti-dive with the Reaper. It's not actually to try to flank them a set for the fight, as I was kind of leaning towards. He waits for the EMP, he hides, everybody comes in, and it's actually the anti-dive when the Blade and the dive through from Gushue is committed. That's when he gets the value out of the Blossom. Really well played. Different take on that ultimate than I thought he was going to use it for. And it's kind of on Hangzhou for diving in so deep on top of him.
Godsby taking a lot of damage. Has to exit back on top of the saloon. As Fitz says, yet again swapped over onto the Torbjorn. Like you were talking about, this has had a lot of mixed results for him.
Yeah.
On times that it's looked pretty good, on other times it's looked absolutely abysmal. We'll see how it's going to fare this time around on their attack. Prophet in the back line, trying to take down Sashin. Softens him up a little bit, but can't find that kill. Gushue just sitting on this high ground walkway. Nearly has the Primal ready, now does have it online. Just going to be waiting for it as Architect right-clicking his way up towards this Blade. Nano Boost already out onto him, so will not have it for the Dragon Blade itself, but might not matter as Godsby now has an EMP, and he's going to pull the trigger on it, finds 3. 2 already gone. And honestly, maybe didn't need these ultimates to be used here for the Hangzhou Spark.
The cool thing was that the Nano Boost forced out the Immortality Field, so he was like, okay, well, I'm just going to wait for that to go away, and they're all going to be in that room. I'm going to Blade. And the positioning was so good for Hangzhou at that moment that, yeah, I kind of agree. I don't know if he necessarily needed to use the Blade there, but use it just to be safe. Seoul Dynasty in a really rough spot here. They're going to have Molten Core, but it's tough to use that on attack unless you're contesting the point, you know, if you're trying to kill those defenders. So not a great ult. Here's the grab.
Grab gets a catch, the Bionade layered in on top, Immortality Field. And a really nice spot, can't be targeted here other than by the Winston. So it buys him a little bit of time, but Ocean is still going to fall, and they push through yet again, just collapsing on top of the Seoul Dynasty. The Molten Core comes out, but it's cut short. He barely gets any lava out.
Yeah.
And Hangzhou Spark, they get another team wipe. There's 15 seconds remaining. Chester probably has to swap over onto the Wrecking Ball, or 2 years going to have to do it here.
This is going to be.
They don't.
This is going to be, I mean, a rally that sets them up for a longer fight. Hangzhou don't have ultimates, but they're going to have a nano and a rally. This is going to be the long fight that Seoul has to somehow win. Rally's out. They get the touch.
Okay. They do get the touch, and Nano Boost available, but Bebe Hack can't use it. Prophet assassinates him in the back line, but now Fitz is going to fall, so will not be able to build up towards that EMP that is going to be ever so important for the Seoul Dynasty to try to get their way over into B. Godsby kept alive barely by the rally, by the armor packs coming out from Mika. They keep him topped up. But Ocean, Mortality Field's going to be used, and it allows him to help take out Sashin, resetting his energy. So that's going to be a nice little win, a nice boon for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Prophet with his Pulse Bomb is going to have to be absolutely massive as they get a nice stagger onto Mika in the back line.
Okay, so Hangzhou
they get
playing
to
the
just
slow.
push forward again.
They're just going to try to contest, and they have all their members here, so it's not like the Seoul contest. They're actually in position to do so. Huge hack.
Pulse goes out, and I think Bebe actually dies in the middle of the nano boost, so it doesn't get pushed out onto anybody. Now with Gushue and Architect falling, that will be the point B cap here for the Seoul Dynasty. But they have to make really solid time in this final stretch. They gotta finish.
They are just making miracles happen, back to back. I mean, the shutdown onto Architect, that was a huge hack from Fitz. And now, I mean, sure, Hangzhou hold their ultimates because they didn't get to use them in that last fight, but I mean, the fact that Seoul is still rolling.
How have you not found him?
Yeah. The fact that Seoul is still rolling in itself is a miracle. They're still at disadvantage here, but maybe they can make more miracles happen, more good hacks.
Well, EMP comes through, does manage to find two. Jester and Toby going to get caught by that as the Flux comes in now from 2U, pushing them up into the air. Gushue and Cosby will be finished off, so the EMP not going to be able to find anything. Hack out onto Architect, they finish him off before he can use the blade. Prophet going to be taking a nap somewhere, and Mika will be able to finish him off. So a nice little pick, but he can rejoin pretty quickly.
They're gonna have to fight for this
the EMP.
Grav combo with the blade, but EMP could shut everything down. We're living in a world where Seoul could have the better time bank here by a few seconds if this EMP is good. Fitz is going to have to use it counterwise.
Comes in, the Dragon Blade comes out. Looks like Fitz going to be waiting. Bionade connects onto Gestures. They try to finish him off. The EMP now comes in, catches out 5 members. Pulse Bomb will claim 1. Sashin going to fall. The front line going to be broken down, but Cosby gets a headshot here onto Prophet. Hack onto Architect, but he's armored up and still rather safe. So the Hangzhou Spark may yet be able to win this. The rally is rolling. Gushue 9% away from the primal range. The rally is now out from Toby, and that's all that the Seoul Dynasty have. Now they just need clutch plays. Bionade onto 2U as he tries to build up for that next Flux. Overtime comes in as the cart inches closer, but still over 10 meters away. Gushue's into the back line. He's cleaving down the supports. He's looking for a finish on the Fitz, and now the primal range will get popped, and Prophet going to be taken down. Nano Boost is in onto the Monkey, pushing them back. The hack is there, and they're off the cart. They force them back, and the Hangzhou Spark will put another win on the board here with Route 66, taking the Seoul Dynasty down on their map pick and extending us into a 5th and final map to decide this series.
And this is where things start to get a little bit scary because, remember, if we go back to the 2 maps that Seoul won, one of them was very dominant of Eichenwald. The other one, very close, 99 to 100 3 times. And arguably Hangzhou Spark lost that map while, not being on the point, right? They were winning the team fight on Mecha Base, but Seoul Dynasty kind of stole the map away because no one was actually contesting the point while it was controlled by Seoul, which happens every now and then. We have a term for this, but control is by far their weakest link of the maps we've seen, I think, where they looked the least dominant. So, Hangzhou has fought their way back, and now all they have to do is win control. They have to get, basically 1% they didn't get last time, and then they reverse sweep Seoul Dynasty after such a great start. I mean, I was really excited for Seoul, and I still am. Not sure about some of these Torbjorn and Reaper picks, but Seoul's got to get their heads back in the game.
Yeah, and they don't have much time to make sure that happens. Obviously quick turnaround with these breaks, so only a couple minutes for them to speak with the coaching staff, see what they're going to be running. I believe we're going to have Lijiang Tower coming up for this 5th and final map in the series. So let's see what they piece together, what they're going to be running when we come back from the break. This one's really heating up. It was such a solid start for the Seoul Dynasty, but here we are yet again, them nearly getting reverse swept. We're going to see if Hangzhou can pull it off or if Seoul can shut them down and move forward into the semifinal when we come back from the break. You don't want to miss it, so don't go anywhere.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, welcome back. Here we go. Final map of this series. Getting it ready to come up. Lijiang Tower will decide it all. Will decide if the Hangzhou Spark can pull off this reverse sweep over the Seoul Dynasty or if they can stop them in their tracks. We do have a change-up, however, coming in for the Seoul Dynasty, and that is, you and I were just talking about this before we came on camera, Wolf. Marvel will be stepping back in
real?
for Gesture.
Oh, no.
It is real. He's going to be stepping in over Gesture. So seems like Seoul Dynasty are putting all of their eggs in this Wrecking Ball Zarya basket for Lijiang.
I mean, you would think so. I don't think we're going to be seeing Marvel on Winston. I think that would be a silly choice. Also, I mean, he could be playing Orisa, I suppose, for Orisa Sigma for some of these. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's Lijiang, so...
It could be.
You know, there's a chance we see a little bit of Reinhardt for some of those May comps we saw in Mecha Base. There's a lot of options here, but yeah, I think you're right.
That's true.
I think
could be right. Could be some Ryan.
I think you're right, though. I think we are going to see some Wrecking Ball from Marvel, just given the history of Lijiang Tower and how he has been subbed in similar to this in past situations with the Wrecking Ball. But I'll be totally honest with everybody. I feel like Seoul has played the better series on paper, just in general, overall. They made really good decisions when they were running the meta comps. They were playing extremely well. But they've kind of like lost their way along the series, you know, running the Torbjorn, the Reaper, for example, which aren't bad necessarily, but I feel like we've kind of figured out that those aren't the best heroes for the situation, and they're kind of niche. And I feel like the further Seoul walks away from the meta line, the worse and worse they're doing, which is unfortunate because this is like Seoul Dynasty. You used to feel like for a little while there without two, it's like, well, they better be stepping away from the meta because it's not going well for them in the mirror. But in this series, it's like, no, it's actually looking quite good for Seoul. But they're kind of walking this thin line, and now Marvel's in as main tank, and I mean,
the thing that's
worrisome.
I don't know. The thing that puzzles me the most is not just opting into, you know, a mirror off the bat instead of running, you know, something like the Reaper. Why not just have Prophet go on the Genji versus Architect? He was winning in the first two maps. He was crushing him in those metrics, playing in the Genji versus each other. Why not just stick with that? Prophet is immensely impactful when it comes down to that pick. We'll see what they have prepared for us at the moment. Prophet is on the Symmetra. We saw this rollout from them on Iconvolt, so this does imply that we will be seeing him on the Genji. And it's looking like Marvel, unless he changes, will be on the Winston.
Yeah, it might not be for the entire 3 rounds, but at least for the start here, that is going to be the case. Tracers to match on both sides here, so mirror matchup. Say about this tank war here for the first battle, and Gushue does get bioed, but he'll be okay. He gets topped up.
Get the live speaking of bio, connects on to 2, or 3 rather, as 2U does bubble that effect off of himself. The damage, however, being pushed out is just too much, and Seoul Dynasty will crumble under the pressure. Prophet saying, guys, I got one! But everybody else is dead around him, so he's not really talking to anybody at all here in this moment.
A lot of the time on control, when you see a fight go this way, you know, Seoul Dynasty fans probably throwing their hands up in the air. That's it, it's over, we lost the first round. As long as that's how control goes, right? You get up to 99, then you have the better ults, you win it. But with Sombra in the mix here, and Fitz actually kind of keeping even in the EMP charge, I think Seoul could get a fast flip. Not
okay.
this case, though.
Yeah, looking like maybe Mika pushed him up the side. He got the right click to deny the kill. Though Mika just used the whip shot, so I'm not really certain
He could have gotten
what exactly had happened.
He could have gotten bashed off.
Yeah. Potentially. Maybe we'll get a replay of that one. Either way, not a good look for Seoul Dynasty on the reapproach.
Because now you're in big trouble.
Is almost half of the ult charge of Sashin right now. He's at 60%.
I mean, EMP charges even can be good for that first fight, you know, or rather the first fight after the cap. We might be able to turn that one with your EMP if you end up getting a better one, but now it's really hard.
Well, Winston's passing like ships in the night. Go across as they dive into each other's back lines. That's going to be the pulse bomb out. Gushue slept, pushed off the side of the map. A nice little micro play there from Toby, but maybe a bit too late. Gushue had already gotten Badoshin. 2U already dead. He built up 10% in the last fight. So
yeah,
it's
I mean,
you know, really slow going for them.
With the fight being that quick, I mean, it's hard to build more ult charge than that. You're putting yourself at risk. Okay, Gushue gets a kill on Fitz. That means no EMP for Seoul. They should just back out. They need to get out of here now. Maybe if they could bait Godsby's EMP, that would be actually good for Seoul Dynasty, but I don't think he's going to go for it. Seoul should just back off and wait for the respawn.
I just got to peel away here. This is Such a rough spot to be in. The jump in comes through. The EMP is absolutely huge. Catches 5. Fit's still going to be committing his own. Manages to find 3. Will get slept. They find Godspeed, but Mika gets another push off, sending to you. Again, off the side of the map, just ensuring that this guy cannot get a grab. He might not get a grab in this entire round of Guardians.
I don't think so.
Toby's now gone. Bionic connects on the 2, but it doesn't matter. No one can collapse forward. No one can get those kills. Architect, meanwhile, Pulse Bomb about to be online. He's looking for a target. Sees the Winston. Might be able to force out that Primal Rage with that alone. Primal now going to be coming through. They're going to push back here onto Marvel, and he is again sent off the side by Mika, who is playing like an absolute madman. He is the god Brigida. He kills Prophet as well, and it is 100 to 0% this time. It was close on Busan, but Lijiang Tower, we ship from Korea to China, and Hangzhou Spark are on their home field advantage in name, and they absolutely crush Seoul Dynasty.
They certainly
in the first
do,
round.
and you know, we have to look back into what happened to Tuyu. I mean, we don't have a replay of it right now. We might get it later. We might not. I don't know. But the reality is that was a huge turning point because I meant Seoul Dynasty couldn't take the EMP versus EMP fight. Then when Hangzhou Spark actually... Is this it? No, I don't think so.
Oh, just... No. It's just him getting just sent off the side. Just can't do anything.
But this is, you know, the next fight too is this is a moment where Seoul Dynasty are so desperate. Fitz EMP is in that fight, and the defensive Fitz, like if they didn't win that fight, they were going to lose no matter what. But everyone's hacked. Fitz has a follow-up EMP. It's mistimed. Marvel is on the rise. This is kind of what we were, what I was talking about in terms of the mecha-based comps coming out, but on Lijiang instead here on Control Tower, Control Center.
Yeah, both going to be sticking through with the Symmetra, so we've got that from Fitz as well as Godspeed. Marvel taken low, tried to charge his way back out to safety, but could not do so. Does get finished off. Fitz over building up, does quite a bit of damage. Get the freeze on a Guchui, so 1-for-1 on the Reinhardts. Looking for a bit more though as the point gets ready to unlock. Architect gets a right-click headshot onto Prophet, taking him down, allowing him to surge forward towards that Blizzard. And now with Tuyu falling, the shield's going to be limited. They still go ahead, they throw out this barrier from Fitz. Commits to that one with the fight, but the point is getting locked down by the Spark, and now they don't have that to fight around.
Yeah, exactly, whereas Godspeed's going to have his when the next fight commences. He doesn't even need to use it right now because Seoul doesn't have their entire team together. There it is.
Oh, yeah, goes ahead, tosses that one through, pushes out from around the shield. Mortality Field keeps Marvel alive in the front line, at least for now, but still taking a beating. Move down to about half HP. Sound barrier going to be dropped in by Mika. Toby now holding on to one of his own. Second beat might be enough for them to maybe edge out in this fight. Architect's falling low, now has that Blizzard online. Sasha not going to get stunned out of the flux, and that does force the sound barrier there from Toby. A great pin, leads Guchui into the back line, drops the hammer, knocks him to the ground. The cleanup will come through. Marvel drops the hammer of his own, but it just does not find anything.
This is the most dominant Hangzhou has been all series long. This is so one-sided. Yes. Everything was perfect. I mean, Toby can only sound barrier so much, right? The Blizzard comes through after the flux, and then you've got the, you know, the follow-up shatter there. Everything is working perfectly for Hangzhou. They can chip some damage in, teleport back to the point. Prophet's Blizzard needs to be big. You know, Mika does not have his sound barrier, so this is their opportunity back into the point. This has to be Seoul's best fight.
Not sure which way he wants to go. Pushes around the corner. Flux does come in, gets a bit of damage on the Sasha and Guchui cannot make it into that Immortality Field, so will get taken down, but Abadosian going to be gone. Cannot use that Amp Matrix. Prophet eliminated as well. It's a 2 for 3 so far. Still in favor of the Seoul Dynasty, but they have to make their way over onto the point. They have to get this flip coming through. Maybe we'll get rid of Toby, but it seems like Seoul have finally occupied the point long enough to go ahead and get the cap coming in. 83% build up for the Hangzhou Spark.
This is the best case scenario for Seoul. It was a pretty good fight for them. They prevented the 99. They're not too far behind in ult charge, the biggest one obviously being the Blizzard, but this is definitely a fight they can win without that ult advantage. They're going to have a sound barrier too. They should be able to live through this. Seoul has a chance to pull this back if the sound barrier is well timed. They're probably going to have to use it no matter what. So that's one resource they're going to lose, but if they win the fight, it'll be worth it.
Photon barrier does come through, and Matrix is out. Godspeed falls. A nice pick off here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Prophet going to be trying to catch up as best as he can towards that Blizzard, which Architect nearly has online. Tanks very much in disarray here for the Hangzhou Spark. Sashin will get taken down, and that will just be the retreat coming through. Hangzhou know that they still have some time on their side. They've got a lot of ultimates getting ready to be online to utilize
really
here.
Good for Seoul Dynasty. The Photon Barrier did, you know, exactly what it needed to do to help zone them out, zone out the Hangzhou Spark. And now they have this choke point controlled, which is huge. Toby's sound barrier coming up soon.
But there'll be 5 ults here for Spark, though.
They can't let Spark Blizzard on the point. That's the most important thing. And that's where Architect's trying to get to.
Marvel goes into the shadow, doesn't catch anything, likely. Gushue blocking that one off. Flux comes down, Fitz falling low, barely being kept alive with the Blizzard in on top of it all. The kills start coming through, and now you have to wonder, Seoul Dynasty, do they have enough time to get back in here?
Well, I mean, it's going to be so hard. Fitz is swapping over already. Prophet doesn't have the Blizzard. Toby's just now getting that sound barrier.
Around the side.
And
they're trying to push the Wrecking Ball through to tag.
It's going to be so difficult. Okay, he gets by. He's on the point.
Yep, makes his way in. That will be the OT forced out. Shatter, however, online from Gushue. The last one was rather large. So let's see how he manages this time around. Toby going to have to be Johnny on the spot with the sound barrier. Trying to keep everybody alive. That's going to be the Blizzard coming in. Godspeed going to be dead off the bat. And if they can just hold on to the rest of these ultimates, if they can just hold on to the sound barrier, it's going to be absolutely huge for the Seoul Dynasty. And so far, it looks like that's exactly what's going to be allowed to happen. Fitz gets the finishing blow onto Architect. And they get the flip back into their favor. 99% here for the Spark. Sashin going to be swapping back over onto the Zarya now.
Yeah, this is actually winnable for Seoul. I mean, their comp is not really a comp, and they had to use Blizzard. And Toby's still got that sound barrier I've been talking about forever. He was unable to build for some of those crucial team fights, but he's got it now. Hangzhou Spark gonna come in. They should be able to tag, no problem. In the longer fight, it's gonna be a faster Blizzard for Architect. Oh, look at the angle,
going
though.
for the fight. They're pushing up towards them. That's going to be a teleporter coming out, though. Shatter dropped in. Gushue turns around, knocks him to the ground, gets a pin on the Prophet, and Fitz is going to be taken down. Now there's no DPS in the fight here for the Seoul Dynasty. Toby eliminated as well. The Fire Strike goes through, takes 2U rather low. He's looking to finish him. They're fighting out here on the walkway. 2U will get the better of him with the Spark. Have flipped the point back into the favor. Ocean going to be eliminated now. 2U tries desperately to buy some time. He almost has the Flux online, but they cannot make it to the point, and the Hangzhou Spark have, in fact, done it. A dominance performance in the first round of Lijiang Tower. They close it out in a close one there on Control Center. But more importantly, the Hangzhou Spark have completed the reverse sweep over the Seoul Dynasty and now will be advancing into the semifinal to square off against the Chengdu Hunters tomorrow.
And they did it, Hangzhou Spark had not won a single game in any tournament playoffs this year.
Yep.
They were 0-6 before, and then they went to 0-8. There were 8 losses in playoffs in a row before they got that reverse sweep against Seoul Dynasty that looked dominant on that second map of Eichenwald. What a turn of events. Seoul Dynasty, I mean, they tripped and fell down the hill on this one. I mean, they rolled down the hill.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a great start for a team that had absolute control over the series, and then everything slipped away. And I think the real story for Hangzhou Spark is they played more meta. They put Sasha in, he was the missing link in terms of being able to run Zarya. They were able to run Zarya after that. They matched 2U in that regard, and Hangzhou Spark come back solid, and Seoul Dynasty starts thinking outside the box when I feel like it's not completely necessary to do so. And it feels like Seoul just let this series slip away. It really feels like that. It's a heartbreaker.
I mean, I think that's the best one-word summary of this series here, and potentially of the season for Seoul Dynasty right now is heartbreaker. So we'll not be moving forward into the semifinal. We'll be joining London Spitfire, waiting idly by to continue play after this the Countdown Cup has concluded. But Hangzhou Spark now have to get ready for a very tough opponent in the Chengdu Hunters, and that's only going to be coming up tomorrow. Let's go ahead and talk about our player of the match, though, from the side of the Hangzhou Spark, presented by Xfinity. It is, of course, going to be Architect is our selection here for today, but I got to give a big shout out to both Bebe and Mika. I think that you pick either of those guys, and they are perfectly suited for player of the match as well, because both of them played phenomenally throughout this entire set.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was really about all the supports. I mean, you see Bebe hitting really nice nanos to empower Gushue, and then you've got bubbles coming through from Sasha. I'm calling him support. He's pseudo-support, right? He keeps Gushue alive. I thought it was a really well-rounded game from Hangzhou Spark, and after such a rough start with QOQ, and is really struggling to find their footing, Sasha comes in, the support line links up with Gushue, and it just goes to show, like, sometimes you need a well-rounded team, even though QOQ on paper is stronger than Sasha on Flex Tank. He comes in with a Zarya, he plays his own style, and things round out. Same with 2U coming in, They looked really good with him.
Yeah.
And then, things fell apart, but you've got to have the perfect comp for the map, and you've got to have the teammates that empower you that way. So Dynasty fans, I think, are going to remember this one for a long time. This was a really rough loss.
Very much so. But again, congratulations to Architect. Like you said, this is kind of just one of those series where it just kind of pick a member. Everybody is very much suited for player of the match, but of course had to get that nice little shout out in for the supports who just played really strongly. Mika especially on Lijiang Tower there on Gardens was just instrumental in shutting down the Seoul Dynasty, making sure that they didn't have a chance to even get a single percentage on the board during that map. So really wonderfully done for the Hangzhou Spark. Need to obviously work on a lot before tomorrow. There's a lot of tightening up that can be done, making sure that they're drilling it into their players' heads to stay on the point when OT is ticking down. That's something that's very important. But the mental fortitude to turn around a set like that when they were so down and out after a massive defeat on Eichenwald, after not stepping on the point, really good from the coaching staff, from the players to stabilize and be able to push forward and get this win. So very well deserved by them. We're not done yet though, guys. We have one more quarterfinal for you this evening, and it could be a very interesting one. These teams have clashed time and time again. It's going to be the New York Excelsior going up against the Guangzhou Charge. Winner of this one has to advance to play against the Shanghai Dragons. So a very rough spot to be in for either of these teams, but first they have to get through each other. So we'll see who's going to be able to come out on top of that when we come back from the break for the final series.